Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second time that we've done a stream like this. It doesn't have a name, but whatever this is, it is happening again. We're going to argue about top 10 rosters of all time. Welcome to the stream, Stumpy, the esteemed EU analyst who really gained a lot of respect from the community after his top 20 teams recently. Tbates as well. I mean, everything I just said about Stumpy, you could say the same thing about Tbates. These guys were really impressing a lot of people with their efforts. But also CJCJ. It's super early in the morning for him, so bear with him as he wakes up. It's just after 5 a.m. So thank you especially to CJ for joining us. But yeah, how are you guys feeling about this? For me, when I was putting my list together, this was quite hard. I was like, wow, there really is. It's very close, all the way through, apart from one and two teams, which I thought were pretty clear. Was it difficult for you guys?
It was so hard. I found it really tough to try and think like which rosters were which rosters at various times as well, and then trying to compare rosters nowadays to then achievements back in the day when there were a lot more weeklies, a lot more sort of like one-offs, a few more bubble scraps and everything. It's really hard to try and like just get the metric, like the thread that runs between everybody. I'm also trying to brace myself for the immense amount of hate I'm going to receive after today. So it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Tbates, are you doing the same? Are you bracing yourself?
Oh, I don't worry about hate. If I cared about hate, then I would have quit First Touch or something by now. Just looking at comments and Reddit and stuff like that. As much haters as I have a lot of lovers. So I mean, it all comes from the territory. And
nice.
in regards to answering your question about the list itself, it was really difficult actually, especially after I got to about six. It got really hard, and I just want to put a disclaimer out there for everybody. I didn't want to have like multiple versions of like NRG on here or something like that. So I tried to keep it like a different team throughout. I didn't want to have like NRG or multiple Dignitases, all that type of stuff. So
okay,
yeah,
we'll have to bear that in mind. I didn't make that rule for everyone. This is like everybody's probably done this a little bit differently, but we'll keep that in mind. CJ, who told us just seconds ago that he only just realized that same problem, so he's probably shuffling his list around as we speak. What's going on, CJ?
Look, I'm not really shuffling the list, Johnny. I think for me, firstly, I don't care about the hate at all, so far away. Secondly, I'm just going to vote with a little bit of heart. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to go with the heart. Whatever feels right. I've got a few teams written down here. And when you tell me, when it comes up and you say, you say CJ, who's your number one team? Who's your number 5 team? It's just got to come to me. And it's going to be hard. But yes, I did also forget a few teams had changed along the way. So then not quite as good as what I thought they were.
Oh my goodness. Well, I think last time we started off with Stumpy on every single round. Maybe we'll switch it up a little bit this time. I'll go first, and then maybe somebody else can go first for the next one. But I want to just like get this one out the way, because it might, I don't know, it might set the tone. Maybe I'm way off your guys' lists already. Maybe you guys are going to be like same, like, I don't know. No idea what to expect here. But my number 10 roster of all time, we're talking rosters, Twitch chat. We're talking like specific 3 players for a team, not, what a team accomplished with one player, then they benched someone, picked up someone else, and continued getting results. Specifically 3 players. My number 10 is the Method, which turned into complexity roster of Alot, Metsonoris, and Magnus.
That's a cracking shout. I didn't even consider them. I forgot that they kind of existed, but that is a really good shout.
That's what I was.
I am just going to quickly amend my old Mr. here.
I wouldn't surprise me if you got an EU team in there.
What's wrong with the EU
We're still friends. That's a good show.
What, you don't like Method complexity? Oh, you do like it. Okay.
I like that.
I'll tell you you guys why. I think they were just the wrong era, simply. I think they were the wrong era. They were just at the same time as a particularly dominant team. But even in that era, they still got second place at one RLCS. They still got third place at another RLCS. And although it's not as important, they did, get second and third at 2 consecutive Universal Opens, which is 2v2. But, I feel like it's worth mentioning, just as a side note. Because, they were
really,
there.
really hard run in season whichever season it was, they went from the uppers, then went down, and then had to face off against one of the NA guys. Like
They beat Cloud9 at season 4.
Yes, they did.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
when Squishy hit the iconic shot.
The ceiling shot, yeah.
And then went into the grand finals, and
then they got
fucking
actually.
clapped.
Yeah, they got
Gosh.
destroyed in the grand final, but the upper final was really close at 4-3.
The upper final
Wasn't
was
it
the real
4-3?
grand final.
Yeah, it was upper final 4-3. So
Yeah.
I think they were really close, actually. And even in regionally, like I know regional level isn't as important as LAN, especially in the period of time that LANs did exist, but they were good regionally. You know, they finished off like I think it was second to Gale Force in season 4. So I think this is a really good team. I think they were just the wrong era, and you know I think that's the only team in my list that I'm including that as a reference note for wrong time. Yeah, what do you guys think? We probably like get more on the board here. Let's hear Tbates. Let's see what everybody's 10s are.
Alrighty, my 10. I just doubt any. I don't even know if any of y'all would have them. You might have them. I have I by Power at number 10. They're just like the progenitor of it all. Like they just they started off really every single team above them or any team that I followed them. They're a very iconic team. Obviously world champs. Even if you want to take the different roster-ish with they won over Zero instead of Gambit. But yeah, they just like brought everybody in the Rocket League, showed why we all love this game and are talking about this game right at this exact very moment.
So which version of IBP Cosmic? Was it IBP or was it the Gibbs version? Was it the Gambit version? Which 3 names you putting in here?
The over zero version.
Okay.
But like, and that's like the weird part with them. They're like the only team here that on my list that has like could Gambit play most of that, but then he couldn't play LAN or whatever.
Yeah.
So I mean, like. I don't know. Their roster's weird, and it was but they're like the only roster that isn't like a legit like 3-3. Over Zero just came in for the championship, but I like that. I like that version at my 10.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. CJ, who have you got at number 10?
Already controversial, is it, CJ?
I mean, honestly,
team, isn't it? It's Chiefs.
I feel like I by Power's a good shout from you, Tbates, because you know that pre Worlds, I take into account a lot like sort of Worlds performances as well. I was tossing up between these two teams for my number 10 spot, and I'm going to throw it in, and I don't know how well it's going to get received here.
Oh gosh!
But for number 10. I'm going to go G2.
Okay, which one?
Just Kronovi, JNaps, and Rizzo. Prolonged performance, second in a Worlds and an E-League. I think if you look at the prize money earned throughout the 2018, 2019, they're up there just consistently. They don't have the Worlds win, which I really like. But I think if I'm looking at just a top roster from all time in terms of how they went, obviously they bombed out of a lot of Worlds. But they did get the second.
No, the second was with Chicago, though.
Yeah. Second was season.
We're going to cut that away. For my number 10 spot, let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. Let's wipe that away. Let's go. Clearly, Kronovi can't. Yeah, actually, sorry. Yeah, never mind. Let's wipe that away. Let's get rid of that. Let's cut that away. Let's run it back. All right. Let's pretend this didn't happen. This won't be in the video. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, for my number 10 spot in my all-time list, undisputed top 10, I'm going to go We Dem Girls.
Okay. Which one?
Co. And I Ignite.
All right.
They got fourth in a world championship. And they also won an E-League. So
they did win
we're going the other way. That was my toss-up. First try, We Dem Girls, I Ignite, Remco, and Metanoris. Wow. That is the roster that I'd like to lock in.
I was thinking about those guys, but my only thought with them was then when they became TSM, still the same roster, just different name, they had an incredibly disappointing end. And for me, that knocked them out of the contention. Personally,
okay,
yeah, they were the team that kept on losing to DreamHacks to literally any 3 players that showed up with a controller and a monitor. Like actually, just anyone. They could lose to so many different teams. It was impressive. Like they get to every DreamHack. We were like, oh, TSM are in the lower bracket and they're out again. It was crazy. So that's the tough part for for Reading Girls TSM for me, but I was definitely
I
considering
like
them
your
for a
Reading
roundabout
Girls.
here. I think it's a good shout, but with the highs came incredible lows, which
really
Yeah.
annoying lows too. Like I remember
respect
standing
those
behind
lows.
them at Leipzig when they were playing against I think it was pretty much some randoms, and they just lost.
Oh, yeah, they're
and everyone
terrible.
was like,
They
"Oh,
lost to Ground Zero in Valencia.
yeah."
But
Yeah,
then they
they-
almost won Dallas.
yeah, although their Dallas run,
Exactly.
I looked at this and I was like, but that's such a Mickey Mouse bracket because they had EG in the semis. They had EG in the semis, Classics, Chrome, Drippe. I was like, how did they get there? And then in the
Dream
quarters,
team.
they had who was it? They had in the quarters. It was an even more Mickey Mouse team. I was like, that's just a Mickey Mouse run. What are they doing? What happened here? Like that
Can
that,
only
that
beat
line
what's
was a
in
joke.
front of you, though, Johnny.
I mean,
only beat
that's
what's in
true.
front of you.
All right, Stumpy, who have you got at number 10?
I think everyone's already complimented each other, and I feel like I'm gonna chuck a name out, and then everyone will go, "What do you mean? How have you got this
100%.
team?"
Well,
and
it's
I'm
up
gonna
to
be
you.
I'm ready.
sad.
I'm ready to go.
I have got a few honourable mentions. I have 3 that I just
Okay.
like to get out there as teams
Okay.
that nearly made it, but I thought needed a mention. My first one is Kings of Urban. That is the Fireburner Jacobs Sad Junior roster.
Okay.
They were one of the best teams in North America, like pre-RLCS. They were incredible. Absolutely loved that roster, just behind Cosmic Aftershock at the time. Another honourable mention for me was Chiefs, who had the best
Same.
OCE finish ever back in Season 6. They came 4th. They looked brilliant. That was Jake, Torsos, and Drippe. And then my other honourable mention was the G2 roster of Kronovi, Rizzo, and JNAB, so one that CJ said earlier on.
Okay.
So those are my near top 10 teams.
Yeah.
Not quite, but they were really close to making it
Let's
in.
hear who beat them though. Who's your 10?
Who beat them, Johnny? That's a brilliant question, my friend. And the team that managed to pip them to 10th spot are the Peeps. The Gyro, Rettles, and Mist
What?
combo. Here we go.
Well, I was going
Here we go. No.
That's all it takes.
No, CJ can walk out. There's no way you were just clowning. Not clowning, but you're like, we them girl, eh. And then you got, like, I love my boys, but them at top 10 all time?
I think the reason why I've got them at top 10 all time is partially because of the influence they were having in the area that they were existing. And maybe that's not quite where
meta?
I should have gone with it. They also, exactly as you said, they changed the meta, or at least solidified that the meta could be changed at that time. They were also an open sign-up team to DreamHack, which was incredible. And the teams they went through on the final day were Mouse Sports, who at the time were one of the top teams in Europe. They were doing an incredible job over there. They beat Vitality, and then they beat G2 in the finals.
Yeah.
They had a really, really great run. I appreciate that. They didn't do much.
What
either
else did they
side
do
of
though?
that.
What else did they do?
That-
I actually didn't even
that's
think
my
about this
thought.
team because I don't even know if they did anything else.
So annoyingly, after that, they then there wasn't many competitions. Then Rettles left.
Yeah, they made land.
So that was really annoying. That
Did they make
disappointed
LAN
me.
with the same team or was it a different
Yes,
team?
No,
they made
it
land.
It was the
Wait,
same
what?
team.
Rettles moved. Rettles moved.
Rettles
I believe.
moved. No, Rettles was
No,
with
they
PK.
made land. They
just
made land.
became-
PK.
yeah,
They got
became
signed by PK. They made
Oh,
land that year.
PK. That's why it wasn't on that sheet then. Yes,
Okay, so they
great
did do
shout.
more. Yeah, that's right.
Yes, they
did.
made land.
Great shout.
But
Think they
That's
finished
why-
top
that's
6?
why the
they got,
results then
they
weren't
got
on
sixth
peak.
place. They did beat Reciprocity that weekend. They had one. They had
Yeah.
one
And Rec
notable
looked
result,
good.
beating Red.
Yeah.
And then after that, it went bloop.
Yeah. Then
Has
Rettles,
Stumpy
they
changed his
left
pick
it
yet?
he's
No,
not.
no, CJ. Some of us have a goddamn
Can we start again?
backbone.
No, if anything, we've helped out Stumpy's pick. We've given him
Yeah.
more
Yeah, he didn't even.
background.
Yeah, he didn't even
We
realize. they
forgot
took
about the
six
PK
lines.
and the
Forgot about-
land.
it's the fact that it's because the obviously then the name Peeps then got carried on very soon after
by another
by
team.
Gyro, and then therefore that's when it started to go downhill. But
Okay,
I didn't actually
yeah.
look to check about the signing. So yeah, then they
Okay.
became PK. But it's mainly that gigantic peak of DreamHack has lifted them to a very, very good spot because they had to go through a lot of great teams as well. And it was partially, I'm a bit of a sucker for a story.
I'll be honest. I wasn't even thinking about them at all. I wasn't even thinking
fair.
about them. But
I mean, it's a fair shout. They're a land winner.
They're definitely in the conversation. They didn't even cross my mind though. They won a LAN, but yeah, I think I would not. You know, even now that I think about them, no, I wouldn't put them on my list. I wouldn't.
I
don't
just think the worst part about that, Stumpy, was you just led with these. You gave these honourable mentions of these titans.
Yeah, they were good
of
honourable
teams,
mentions.
And then you've just
the
thrown
worst
out
one.
these guys that for me peaked at a LAN. They had obviously they went all right after that, but like that was crazy from you. No, good start.
CJ,
Credit.
that's what you've
Well
got to
done.
be
Great start.
expecting. That's
Right.
what you've got to
Great
be
start.
expecting, pal.
Hold on, I
Also,
just
I like
realised-
how you tactically went off to make a cup of tea. That was good.
Yeah,
I
smart,
like that.
smart.
That was really clever.
Guys, I'll move us on to number 9 here. I'll just continue. So I've got NRG at number 9, but which
NRG?
Which NRG? I hear you ask, and I think that's a good question. The NRG that I would like to put at number 9 is the NRG team who are forever second place of Fireburner Justin and Garrett G. Because even though they were forever second place, they didn't win a LAN. I still think that they're a top 10 team of all time. And you know, it was right. It was the right time for Fireburner to move on. But yeah, they never won anything, so I can't put them any higher than this. Yeah, what do you guys reckon about NRG?
I mean, they're one of the most iconic, that's for sure. And they got second a lot, and they would win.
They were one goal away from winning LAN. One goal away.
They were always consistent in league play. They always finish first, always, which is a given.
They were the best team in North America for almost all of the time that they were together.
Right.
Pretty much. It's just when it then came to LAN, either they had a couple of bottle jobs at various smaller LANs, and then they did very, very well at RLCS, and it was always that case of, can they finally pip the post? Fireburner leaves, then they can, lol. So
Poor Fire, bro. But I
close to
can
winning
see it.
DreamHack as well.
Yeah, they were one away from the grand final against DreamHack, grand final of RLCS Season 5, grand final of WSOE, and then they took first place regional 6 and 7, or RLCS 6 and 7 regionally. But I don't know. I think they deserve to be top 10 despite not winning any LANs. Okay, I mean, I'm interested if you guys are agreeing if they're in yours as well. Tbates, number 9.
My number 9 is actually a team that's already been talked about on here.
Okay.
It was CJCJ's second pick for 10 after he mistakenly put G2 up there. And I like We Dem Girls, personally speaking. Okay. It's just it's so hard for most of these teams above them were consistent for at least 8 months, a year, something like that. We Dem Girls / TSM, they're consistent for 6 months, 7. I mean, probably about 6 months, 5 months, and then they had that one DreamHack Dallas, which Johnny you attributed to a Mickey Mouse run. But I mean, they finished third all CS Season 6. You make an argument that if they didn't run the Cloud9, they would have given Dignitas a run for their money every single step of the way. Second to EU, and then they won E-League, which was a really big tournament. They beat Cloud9, of course, and I can't remember if they played Dignitas there as well.
No, they didn't.
But,
Cloud9 knocked out Dignitas.
Cloud9 knocked out Dig.
I think they lost to someone in the
They absolutely
group
smashed
stage.
them, right? Didn't they absolutely destroy Dignitas as well?
Yeah, Cloud9 beat Dig 3
did?
series in a row.
Cloud9 demolished.
Yeah, they beat Dig 3 series in a row.
Ruined Dig, and I remember everyone in EU was just like, shit.
Well, that's when Dig broke up. I think that was the end for them. I think they were probably. I think K-Dot was leaving regardless of what happened at E-League 2. That was just so close to RLCS Season 6 that they played it. Right. I think they were done. They were finished playing with each other. So yeah, Cloud9 did well, but Dig were finished. Yeah,
and then I just like seeing how Remco, Metza, and Ignite really ball out. Personally speaking, it was really cool just to see them all winning. They're one of the most iconic rosters to me personally. So I love them winning. And I got them at 9.
I agree. I think I really did consider them. I thought about this team, but I'll just tell you guys right now, I didn't put them in my top 10 because if it was just based on what they achieved, a few results here and there, yes, good stuff. But to me, greatness is also just not having so many terrible results, and they had so many terrible results. So that's what put Method, Complexity, and the NRG roster ahead. Just consistency. Doing what they're supposed to do. But they were in the conversation. This is close. I was very. It was a hard decision whether or not to put We Dem Girls / TSM in here. All right, CJ, number 9. Are you gonna one shot at this time?
What concerns me? What concerns me about this is that I feel like the longer this goes, the more I've definitely left out someone in this top 10.
Yeah,
a lot higher up.
It can't be as bad as Stumpy having Giants in top 20.
When Giants winning the team.
But for my number 9 spot, on my top 10 list, the CJ's top 10 all-time rosters, I am also going with the team that's already up here. It's not the Peeps though. It is Method / Complexity.
Okay.
I guess for me, when Johnny first presented me with the idea of top 10 rosters of all time, these guys are probably the third or fourth team that came to my head in terms of just great rosters throughout time. I think that I agree with what I think Johnny said when he brought them up, that they were just in the wrong era. They had that second in season 4. Season 5, they got third, fourth, and then they split up for some reason.
Well, they made the worst roster change of all time. They benched Mensonaris. Why would you bench Mensonaris?
made the worst. Exactly.
And then they got relegated.
So consistent. I think they were victims of the fact that they were victims of the fact that Dignitas was so good. I'm sure we'll speak about them later, but they made a roster change because they couldn't beat them, but no one could beat them. I feel like they were really good. They were awesome, that team. They were really super solid, and I think Mogdus at the time was one of the best players in the world, and Metzer as well was incredible, and a lot was obviously the cherry picker. I think they're iconic, and they're a great team. Number 9, they're well in my list.
So wait, have we?
I'm annoyed that I actually forgot about them. I don't want to add in. I'm like rejigging as I go through, but I'm not adding in any other.
Just be honest, Stumpy. You wish you could remove the peeps right now. You wish you could just delete them.
Oh, he has peeps at 10,
because
so I'm
you
so
said that,
interested
Johnny,
in 9.
I shan't. I shan't do that.
All right,
actually.
where have you got at 9 then? Let's hear it.
At 9, I have got a team that has again already been brought up. I've got the NRG roster of Garrett, Justin, and Fireburner.
Okay, this is
another
surprisingly
9th
close.
spot. Yeah, they were. Every single point that Johnny was making, completely agree with. They appeared during the time. They appeared at every single RLCS LAN that they could have appeared at as that roster. They qualified as first in NA 4 out of 6 of them. They were just dominant in their region, and then it was just trying to push past at the final post to win LAN. 1 goal off multiple times. The only reason why they're not higher up is because they didn't win 1 LAN. If they won 1, there'd be a few places higher on my list, but they just couldn't do it. And it's disappointing, but I think, 9th, pop it in there.
So we've actually got 3, and we've only revealed 8 rosters, or 8 placements, and 6 of them have been mentioned. Well, 3 of them have been mentioned twice. We've only got IBP Cosmic and the Peeps in there 1 time each. That's pretty crazy. I didn't expect us to be this synergized.
This is good.
This is very close, guys.
Oh no, it'll shake up eventually.
Not feeling good about the next 8.
All right.
He's not feeling good. Johnny, let him go first.
Who said they're not feeling good? I agree. Who wants to go first?
Go on, CJ.
CJ.
Come on, CJ.
Don't, because
CJ,
I
go
think
on.
Come on.
I feel like at this point is where you guys come up with a roster that I don't have. This 7-6-5.
You want to copy. You want to copy. Now you have to go first. No
I
copy.
need to know. All right, look,
CJ, the fact that during the top 20 teams, I literally forgot that Shopify Rebellion existed.
Spotify.
I wasn't allowed
He
to
had
add
Giants.
anybody in.
And then he had SRG at 27.
You both had
mate,
Galaxy
very
Racer in there.
generous.
You both
very
had Galaxy
generous
Racer.
15th for Sandrock.
All right, well, I'm just going to shoot it, and then we'll just move on because we've just discussed it for a long time. It's just I'm just going NRG number 7.
Which one?
Wait, 7?
We're at 8.
We're at 8.
Sorry, 8. Sorry, 8, not 7.
Okay.
Sorry, that's my 8.
Okay, good.
Of just Fire. Oh, they didn't. They were just so good without. It's honestly a shame that they didn't win with Fire.
It is.
On Worlds. Unfortunately, Turbo had to come in and show him how it's done later on. But that it's the same. I've got them very close with Method because Method got second to that Dig roster, and then they got third. It's pretty interchangeable. I was really tossing up between 9 and 8. But they were really good, especially like in their region. I think compared to sort of Method, who were just
they did.
I don't know.
More
they were a little
regionally,
bit. It was regionally wise. Like NRG were just super. They were dominant, along with sort of G2 in that season 4, season 5 era. And I've just got to put them 8. I've just with my heart, I have to put them above Method. It's probably not really results based. It's just how I view them as a team. And obviously they were 1 goal away from that Worlds win, which was really close.
Right.
I think we can all agree that we're disappointed that they never won LAN, right? Like never won RLCS.
That season 5.
That's why season 8 meant so much. Just to have an NRG roster winning was just amazing.
Well, do you guys remember at DreamHack Valencia, everybody knew it was Fireburner's last event, and then was it Farah tweeted or Fruity tweeted, "Are we the baddies?" It's like they ended up in the grand final, and they're also a team who hadn't won anything, and they were like, "Wait, how are we so evil here trying to beat them?" And they did, but oh well. I think NRG are so great, so we all have them in here. Tbates, do you have them in at number 8, or are you?
No, that roster is not anywhere on this list.
What?
No.
What?
Okay.
You have IBP Cosmic in there and no NRG?
You have to win.
No, they were 1 goal away, and they did so much.
One goal away.
They
One
made
goal
6.
away too many.
They made like 6 grand finals.
I love that roster. I genuinely do. And Johnny, every single time you made your predictions every season about NRG, they're the best team. They're gonna be the best team. I got them win the Worlds.
Yeah.
It was like season after season, and it just didn't happen. I mean, you gotta finish. You gotta finish the job. You gotta win something. You gotta win something.
And they made so many grand finals.
Consistency.
Many grand finals.
You can make so many grand finals. Why do we gas BDS so much? 15 out of 15 grand finals. They just don't lose. That's called greatness. You gotta finish the job.
Thank you. You agree with
they
us
learn.
finally.
They learn
That's what it
eventually.
took.
But you can't just be up there and not win something. But yeah, I'm saying all this, but see, like y'all about to clown me maybe potentially about this.
Who's
Technically speaking, my number 8 team hasn't won anything either. But they did win something.
What
They
did
did
they win?
indeed win something.
What did they win?
The Hearts.
I have G2 here.
Okay,
Not
which
Crow
one?
version.
Okay.
Chicago version. Chicago JNavs Rizzo. They won in A last year.
Okay, yeah,
They won
the
in A,
online.
and it's
bit.
arguable.
Yeah.
It's all hypothetical. Like they actually were so good last year in 2020 in that spring. It's arguable that that was probably their season to win it all. If there was ever going to be a chance for G2 to win, it was going to be that season.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
G2
And they were
did.
amazing. Their passing, their offense, the way they approached the game. They got second season 7 Worlds. I mean, like, and they've done consistently well throughout the grid, throughout really this whole entire time of this RLCS. And then they finished like third or fifth in a lot of other tournaments. So it's just a consistency over time being at like that upper echelon. They're not NRG level where they're finishing second every single tournament, but they're still up there finishing like either 5th to 8th or 3rd, 4th, and they obviously dominated NA for that particular like 4-month, 5-month span.
I do have a question mark about that though, because your
Okay, go
point
ahead.
was obviously neither of those teams, the NRG roster with Fireburner and that GT roster, they never won Worlds. Neither of them did.
Mm-hmm.
But then the argument that they then won North America, where
Yeah, see?
obviously then it does have
Right.
NRG winning North America 4
Right.
out of 6 times.
Right.
I don't. How do you then have G2 for
Differentiate
that
that?
roster over the top?
Okay, I differentiate that because at that point we knew there was no world. So they like everybody knew that, right? So everybody knew going into this into the regionals, NA and E respectively. This is it. You got to win this. We even had Garrett on First Touch on Monday. He was talking about how Cloud9 would approach regionals and league play. They would just be like, okay, we're just gonna make sure we get a good record and make the playoff for NA regional, and then we're just gonna make sure we make one.
That's nonsense though. Nah, I don't believe that at all. Listen, now you can't say
that's what Squishy says.
yeah,
Squishy
but
told Garrett
that's
that.
nonsense. Listen, if you're making an all-time greats list, and then one of the teams says to you, "Oh, but by the way, don't look at our regional results. We weren't trying. We didn't care about those." And then you're gonna be like, "Oh, you weren't trying. Oh, okay, let me move you up a few positions." Nah, get out of here. That's nonsensical. That's ridiculous.
No,
of course
I'm
they
talking
matter.
about- No, okay. And just think about it though. Realistically speaking, if you know there's no worlds, when you approach the regional, wouldn't you try just ever that bit more harder?
Oh, if you knew this is like the last
first
thing.
out of regional mean more than first out of regional? You're going to worlds. Okay, you win first out of regional, still have to play worlds, but you win first in NA, then like you get the title, you get all the money that would have been the world championship. Now you get it there, and it's just like the season's over. You're the best team in NA or NEU respectively. But like when NRG won, or like when anybody wins regionals back then, it's just like you're quote unquote the best team, but the second team might be the best team. You don't know until after worlds happens. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, it changes. It depends. Like they're the best team until Worlds, and maybe the best team changes. But no, there's a player that won 5 regionals in a row in Europe. His name's K-Dop, and like he doesn't believe in this same philosophy of we made Worlds. I guess we're going to stop trying. Who cares about this prize money, and who cares about getting first regionally? He doesn't
I'm
care
with you
about
with
that.
that.
Like that to me is greatness, wanting to win. He doesn't settle for anything less. First of all, I don't believe any pro player who tells me that they weren't trying. They qualified for Worlds. Who cares? We don't care about the final. I don't believe them. Secondly, if they genuinely think that, that's not greatness to me. So it shouldn't be like it's something that puts them up the rankings anyway. Maybe that's a hot take. I don't know.
I agree.
I'm with that. I'm with that logically, but nobody on G2 thinks like that. I just want to say that it was Squishy that said that. Oh, I think Squishy said it. Garrett was talking
Garrett
about it
said
on Monday.
Squishy said this or something.
Yes,
I don't know. It's
yeah.
a he said, she
Yes.
said kind of situation, but
I
didn't
think
take that into consideration.
the only difference between G2 winning season 9 and NRG then winning 4 out of 6 qualifiers for what? Like
I don't think
playoff roles,
NRG
whatever you
won
wanna
4
call
though.
them.
I think they won 2. I don't know if or a specific
Cloud-
NRG
Cloud9
roster.
won
I believe
season
I
4.
checked.
Well,
I believe I checked
different
that they
NRG
won-
rosters. Like I think the Fireburner Jacob,
Sorry, yeah, that's a good
Garrett,
point,
they won
actually, yeah.
1, and then the Fireburner Garrett Justin, they won 2, and then it was the final one was Garrett Justin Turbo. So 3 different NRG rosters were the teams that won 4.
But then the previous ones from before, that is a good point. Okay, maybe it wasn't 4, but like, okay, so the Garrett Justin, they won NA at least what?
They won twice, yeah.
or so?
Garrett Justin Fireburner
Okay.
2 times.
So if they then won twice, I think it's irrelevant of what the goal is after that, and it's irrelevant of what the prize money is. If there were no Worlds, then the money got put then into the regionals instead. I think it comes down to the result that you get against the teams that you're playing against. Hence, I think an E-League is a very, very prestigious event. I think the final brackets of DreamHacks are very, very prestigious events for the most part. I don't think that there's a clear difference between, or there isn't enough for me to then say that the G2 are above the Fireburner NRG roster because they won a single NA when
I got
there
a question
wasn't
for you
a
then.
Worlds.
I got a question for you then. This new RLCS format, say we had a world championship for the 1 year. How much is this world championship worth compared to all the other world championships?
So there's there's like what, 3
It'd be
old
double, right?
seasons worth
Well, it's
of
it's double. So because
games.
it's 2 of them, it was the same time frame as 2 worlds. So I guess you could call it the greatest world.
But there's
championship
more
ever.
games though. There's a lot
like
more series.
significantly
in
more
there's
games.
like
More teams.
Like
3 times as many.
Like
to get to this
hypothetically,
Worlds.
say
Oh, you mean the
BDS
entire season, not just the world?
The entire
oh, well, yeah, the entire
season
season
plus the Worlds.
Of course, yeah, I agree. I think that at these majors were supposed to be LANs. That would be 3 big LANs. Maybe some of the regionals are LANs. I don't know how it would have panned out without COVID, but
Okay.
yeah, RLCS Season X would have been the most important season for determining greatness, in my opinion. But in the absence of LANs, it's still worth something. And I do agree with Tbates that the G2 Season 9 win was worth more than all of the season regional wins before that, because they knew that was the final goalpost. Those were the final goalposts. This is it. This is where a massive amount of prize money is. So it is worth more than like a Season 8 win where there's a LAN to look forward to.
If there were Worlds, though, if there was just the Worlds and there was no major lands, I actually don't think it's worth double because we haven't had a LAN event in 2 years. Like, it'll sort of come down to who boot camps that, not many people are gonna. I feel like it'd be like the Season 6 LAN when there were game 5s in every single game in day 1 because no one knows how to play on LAN because it's been 2 years. So I don't know how much I'd actually
Everyone's
weigh.
just shit.
Everyone will be so bad. So I don't know how much I'd weigh up.
maybe.
We'd have to see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and
Okay.
see. Stumpy, we need to move this along. So what's your number
Yes.
8? And then I'll reveal mine as
Number
well.
8. I've not actually numbered mine. Hang on. So that's 10, 9, 8. Okay. My number 8 is finally a team that has won an RLCS.
Okay.
I think we've finally got there because we've now had like 8 seasons of RLCS that have had like world championships. I think we're going to start getting into ones where we're now looking at previous winners. My number 8 team is Northern Gaming. With Remco, Devo, and I've got Turbo / Maestro.
It's cheated.
Nah.
It's cheated.
No,
Pick one.
I'm happy to
That was
settle
really
on one. I'm happy to settle with one, but my thought was because Maestro played with them through the season, and then it was then the Turbo switch over towards
guess
the
it's kinda
end.
like I buy power.
Then for the LAN, I'm gonna put Turbo in there for
Yeah, you
the
have
LAN.
to put Turbo. You have to.
Yeah. But my thought was with Northern Gaming is it's a lot of the same but stronger rationale that I had for Peeps, where it was the meta changing play that they went for, where it wasn't insane what they were doing, but they were just being very consistently punishing backboard so frequently that they then made other teams look silly. They were just double tapping every single team that tried to come up against them. They were playing very solid Rocket League. And I think maybe it's a little bit rose-tinted glasses because it's kind of like the little sparkling Turbo right at the start, and then we see him obviously go on to become a big, beautiful sunflower. But yeah, Northern Gaming.
It's an interesting one. I think, well, that's the same as IBP because they had one result. I mean, they had one notable result. IBP did continue playing with that roster, and they were trash. They went to relegations or something, so nothing noteworthy. But yeah, they're basically one result wonders, the Northern Gaming with Turbo and IBP with over 0. But I don't think anybody's going to complain too much about them being at the bottom of the list. So I mean, we'll have to wait and see who you've forgotten. later on, and maybe that'll
Well, I've already forgotten method complexity, mate. So let's see what else we get.
that'll reveal all later on. So okay, I've got to first of all say my next three are all extremely close. They're all very, very close. Actually, I had a hard time picking between them. But the thing that I used to decide which one, was the greatest, because this is greatest of all time, was who do I think was, I guess, the most dominant out of the three, because they all had pretty similar amount. I mean, okay, my next three, two of them won Worlds once each, and the other one, I'll just say it was G2 Esports, and I think that's why I have to put them at 8, exactly the same as what Tbates did. Because
is that the same G2 as well?
Yeah, same G2.
Okay.
So they actually could have been higher for me if they didn't have so many poor results. Same thing as keeps on coming up on my list later on. I want to see the consistency as well as the greatness at particular moments. But yeah, I think G2 Esports go for me ahead of the NRG team because I value that Season 9 regional win more than I value second place Worlds for NRG, Fireburn and Garrett Justin. I think Season 9, that G2 team looked like best equal in the world with Dignitas. It was a toss-up.
Yeah,
Did you say that you value the Season 9 G2 win over
I value
G2's
G2's winning regionals and also Spring Series. They won regionally with a ton of prize money in the line. It was the biggest regional ever.
Series too.
And they won Spring Series. They beat the NRG roster 2 times. So I agree. That's why I said earlier on with Tbates, like I disagreed with part of his logic, but I agree with the second part. That is, this is a really big regional for me. The fact they won that's about as close as you can get to winning a LAN without winning a LAN.
Right.
So that's why I have them here ahead of NRG, who were also extremely close to winning a LAN. So both these teams are so close. They didn't quite get it. But yeah, G2 outside of that they had other noteworthy results. They had multiple grand finals. They won Spring Series. They won Season 9. They got grand finals at RLCS Season 7 and grand finals at DreamHack Montreal. So I think these two teams, G2 and NRG, they were like the teams that almost won a LAN for me, but didn't quite do it. So but I'd put that G2 team ahead for that reason.
Okay. Alrighty. Ooh. Now this is where we're gonna start getting interesting.
You've got something for us, Tbits? You want to go ahead with 7?
I mean, I can go ahead. Yeah.
Mate.
Now there's this team in Europe currently, and everybody gasses a lot.
Oh, don't.
They gas them a lot.
Don't, mate.
Right,
can we give you an out and just
let
say,
me tell
you can rethink.
Let me tell you, they are really great. But I'm looking at overall consistency.
Oh, okay.
And with that, they're a little bit higher up on this list. Now, I'm still staying in the present, though.
Okay.
There's another team who I value, personally speaking. I think this team is better than the team I was just talking about. But that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
What we're looking at is just overall domination over a course of time, and I can make plenty of arguments that NA is harder than EU and all this stuff. I can go on about that all day. But my number 7 currently, and also we haven't even played the major yet, and I think that they have a really good chance of winning the major, which would bring them up. Would be Envy in NA, currently speaking.
Current Envy.
Current Envy, Miss Atomic and Turbo. I mean, you got the 4-time. You got 2 great players. They're 3-time regional champs in a harder region, in my opinion. I don't think they've ever finished outside the top 4 in anything this whole entire time. This whole entire last year, I think they've gotten multiple seconds, a couple thirds, and third, fourths, and then maybe one outside the regionals or majors. And we haven't even played our last major.
Wait. How many majors did they win though? Was it like 1?
They haven't won a major.
It's 0.
SSG won a major.
That was a good bait. Nice.
Energy. Wait.
No, sorry.
We have a legit 4 teams here. I mean, like SSG got theirs, NRG got theirs. It might be Rogue Envies. We haven't played our major, which is difficult. Which is why I was a little bit. I was doing it this morning. I was like, our major hasn't even happened. Because they could win the major, and then like there's like no question about this. Like they have to be up there, in my opinion. But
I knew you were going to put them in here, but I didn't know where. I knew you were going to put Team Envy in here because you're a Team Envy stan. But
Yeah, they're just so great.
I thought
it's a very big shout.
I saw you not put them at 10, 9, 8. I thought, wow, maybe you didn't put them in here, but you did, just to even higher up. 7, Team Envy.
I had to put them above G2 because I believe they're better than G2.
Yeah, but they're not greater than G2. They might be a better team, but this is a greatest, and I think G2.
Every team nowadays is better than
second
the team a
place
year ago.
Worlds. They won Season 9. They won Spring Series.
But okay,
and they haven't
but you
won
see
any
that, though.
majors yet.
But you say that, but like as you're saying, like majors could have been lands, regionals could have been lands. If we're talking lands, BDS might not have been 15 out of 15. Envy, they have Turbo on the team. That's a land experience. That's one of the great, probably the greatest land player in Rocket League history. That changes all of this. They might already be 2-time land major champs.
That's
So,
all
like,
maybe, though.
But that's a hypothetical still.
Yeah,
for that.
I mean, like, and you gotta like take that into account when you're looking at NB, when you're looking at SSG, BDS, and NLG, like from today, because it's just they don't have the lands. So you have to like hypothetically like think about it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. They're like second in the region. NRG have more points, and then they didn't win any of the majors yet. Maybe they win this one.
Of all time, that is a very, very big shout. I think it's a very hard time for any of these teams unless they are consistently number one out of either of the regions. Realistically, if there was a team in North America that had done the same thing that BDS did, they would be in the same position that BDS are in my head, right? Like, it's any team would kind of be up there if they had that same consistency. Do you think it's a case of, like with method/complexity, if there wasn't an NRG, they would be clearly the number one team? Or do you think they are just very, very good for now?
It's like if there wasn't an NRG, SSG, or a Rogue who were priming that whole entire winter, it's just just that top four.
So that was the case in every
top
case,
four.
though. Like, NRG, they had Cloud9 G2 battling with them regionally. They were better regionally than NVR. I'm talking NRG, Fireburn, and Garrett Justin. They were able to come out on top against Cloud9 G2 2 seasons regionally and get second worlds by 1 goal and get second at 2 other lands. I think that's better than Envy, in my opinion. Better than current Envy.
Tbates, let me just come out and say that is the worst number 7 pick I have ever seen in any list ever. Can we please move on?
Unbelievable how y'all are saying this.
Wow.
See, all y'all are saying this, and I'm going to hold all y'all to it. I'm so interested in where y'all put BDS. If Envy is blasphemous at 7, then if BDS is anywhere near y'all's top 2, top 3, that's just over. There's just no way. There's no way.
Oh, mate,
there's no way.
I'm so
There's no way
excited
y'all
But this
are
is
saying on me on
Tbates, this is
And BDS
greatest of all time, not which team is the best of all
Not
time.
which is-
It's
How the heck
greatest.
would you? How does BDS quantify for anything then?
Because they've won like all the grand finals that they were in.
But
They
the
won
region
3
is
majors.
so
They've won. What do you mean?
You-
But that's such a that's just a fake argument. That's not a real argument.
No. Solary in the grand final. Do you know what? Solary had a whopping, I think, 160 points through the first 3 regionals.
Yeah, but when they
Do you
did make
see
the
us
grand final, they were
defending
popping
Solary?
off. They were
But that's
popping
the
off.
team they just beat.
Yeah, but they
And, like,
beat a Solary who's peaking. They were playing so well. Chaussette was back at his best. Azure was playing really well. Pharaoh was air rolling.
Solary's gonna win that series.
No, absolutely not.
I didn't think
because
so,
they're
but that's because
against
BDS
I think
are
it was going
too
to be
good.
close.
Yeah, BDS
Exactly.
are too
So,
good.
that just
But then that
shows
only
how.
helps BDS. I don't imagine. Now, tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Did we have Solary on our top 10s? Just out of interest.
No,
Anybody got
no
Solary
shot.
kicking about? Good man. I respect it, CJ.
Right, let's hear it. We got to move this on. Stumpy's gonna need to go to bed in an hour and 10 minutes. So CJ, number 7.
Sorry, I'm an old man.
All right, let's just bring it back a level off the what if maybe they could have, they probably will win a Worlds or something, whatever that was. Crazy. So number 7 on this list, this is where maybe you guys will start rinsing me. I think winning Worlds is very big. It's massive, which is why number 7, I'm going to go a team that didn't win Worlds.
What are you doing?
So, with my number 7 pick, now this is tough because, as I said, there was a team that I woke up this morning that I thought would have been much higher on my list. However, upon having a light bulb moment that this roster did split up, I've had to split this roster up. So that might be a spoiler alert for a bit higher up.
What are you on about?
Number 7 on my list, I am going Flipside Tactics,
Okay.
Marquee Cooks, Mike Rules.
Oh, okay. You gone with the mic.
For my number 7. Now, this team did not, that I realised this morning, did not win Season 2 Worlds. However, they did come second in Season 1. However, what a lot of you in chat who are question marking me failed to remember was how good this team was Season 1 RLCS and pre-RLCS.
Yeah.
These guys were absolutely phenomenal. These guys, I don't have iBuyPower on the list because I think Flipside were that much better, and iBuyPower had the roster split up with, how good was NA back then? I know, respected Kings and Evans stuff, but like Gibbs was, I feel like iBuyPower was good because everyone else was so bad, particularly in North America. I think at least in Europe, there was a little bit more competition from what I used to watch back in the day. Flipside Tactics, this team was dominant. I think they should have won Season 1. I think they had iBuyPower with Over0 had this like Rocket League Jesus looking above them to win this World Championships in Season 1. I'm not sure how that happened, but I think this iteration, although they didn't win the Worlds, which is why I got them at 7, if they had won Season 1 and perhaps stayed together and won Season 2, they're top 3. Okay. But yeah, number 7, I think these guys were incredible. I think if you're around then, you definitely respect that pick. They won a lot of things apart from Worlds.
They won they won MLG, which was the biggest event. I mean, you got to always put things in perspective. Like the first ever big event that happened in Rocket League history was the MLG Pro League, and Flipside Tactics won it. Then the second big event was the RLC Pro League. Flipside came second. Then like the third big event was probably Worlds, which they came second at. So yeah, they were good. They were great, and this is greatest. So yeah, I think that's a good inclusion in my opinion.
Great pick.
Stumpy 7.
Number 7 is a team that did win Worlds. That's right, everybody.
Okay.
It's a team that also, I feel like a lot of my teams, now that I'm kind of justifying them, is I've looked a lot at what Rocket League was and then what Rocket League became after they peaked, essentially. So hence my peeps pick. Rocket League became a lot more demo-y, a lot more bumpy. There was a lot more face-to-face aggression. They at least solidified that the demo play was a huge part of Rocket League. There was also in the Northern Gaming. They made sure that double taps, the backboard reads, they were huge. Therefore, for my next team that I've got on my list is Cloud9, the squishy gimmick torment.
Wait, what?
Squishy gimmick torment. Because the reason why these guys are my number, what's that, 7? My number 7 is because they, firstly, obviously, their biggest season was winning Season 6 LAN. They redefined the fact that everybody could be flairier, they could be bigger, they could be a lot more, they could run rings around their opponent. And the rings that they ran around opponent was Dignitas. And they finally ended that run. Yeah, big old Cloud9. Tbates, go and have a cry, son. What's up? What's wrong? What's wrong, mate? What's wrong, lads? What's wrong, boys? What's wrong, boys? What's wrong?
Oh my!
Stumpy, that is a terrible ranking. That is so bad.
What do you mean?
I think you've taken. Like, let me just say, like, I think IBP and Peeps were questionable. I think Northern Gaming with Turbo is questionable. I think that the Envy is questionable, but Cloud9 is on a whole other level. That is so bad,
Stumpy. But like, let me say. Tbates, you put Envy at 7, and Stumpy's list is still 100 times worse at this point, and he's ridiculous because that Envy pick is so bad. Stumpy, you have managed somehow to make a worse list. This is. I thought this was going to be hard. This actually isn't too hard. Stumpy, you are so bad. I don't know what is going on in your brain. If you are just EU, but I don't know if you watch Season 6. I don't know if you know who Cloud9 are. I still don't know about the Envy pick. I'm looking at that Envy pick. That's a bit weird. But Stumpy, your list is... Can we all agree, chat, that Stumpy's list is abysmal? That is disgusting. Your 10 and number 7 are so wrong.
Bad.
So wrong.
Right, can I have a genuine argument against it, please?
Please try.
They won, 5 LANs? I mean, Gnarly doesn't really count that much, but the other LANs were LANs. Gnarly was like a 30k LAN that was right before Worlds, and it was a bit scuffed, but it's, still a LAN. I think Ghost beat Gale Force of that LAN. I think that's really all you need to know about that LAN. Then Gale Force won Worlds easily. So I don't know. I don't rate Gnarly that much, but they won 3 legit LANs, then Universal Open, which is kind of, worth mentioning.
That one was intense.
And Gnarly, which I don't really count in my opinion. But I mean, the only thing that's important for me is that, they won a Gnarly, but Dig won the other Gnarly. So in my head, I'm like, don't even need to think about how relevant Gnarly was because Dig won the other one. Dig won the other Universal Open, so luckily don't even have to think about how relevant that is either. But the other 3 LANs, 2 DreamHacks and a Worlds. What? How? I can't wait to hear who Stumpy's got ahead of them. I can't wait. I'm actually so excited.
They're a great team. They're a great team. They slot in well at number 7.
I can't wait to hear you got ahead of them. That's
actually have BDS
They slot in really well at number 7.
Well,
I thought I'd come on here and make friends today. That was my main aim. I think I've really strengthened some friendships and bonds have truly been made. And it's nice to hang out with you guys and chat as well. Chat has been very nice to me during all that.
How have you won up your last effort? I don't even know. You've gone beyond what you've already achieved.
How do I keep being invited back, John?
You've won up. I'm just bringing you back this time. People are going to think to make my list look better because that's the worst pick I've ever seen. But okay, I've got Flipside Tactics at number 7. However, it is not the Flipside Tactics that CJ has at number 7 because I think that the 7th place Flipside Tactics is the greasy version of Flipside Tactics. And the reason I'll talk about them more later, but for now, all I'm going to say is that the reason I've got them ahead of G2 and NRG and Method is pretty simple. They won Worlds. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that one. But I'll go into more detail on that later because, spoiler alert, this isn't the only Flipside I got on here. I got another one on there as well. So
oh, man.
You gotta recognize greatness. Okay, right. Let's move things along. I'm so curious. Stumpy, who on earth is your number 6? Who on earth do you have above Cloud9? I need to know.
Wait. Are we going straight to the number 6 now? To me,
I need to know. Who is above you?
It's a team that I think has been mentioned a few times already, and it's a team that I don't think is going to be particularly what's the word? Combative. Having in this position. My number 6 team is Flipside Tactics with...
Which one?
How high is BDS?
With Greasemeister. Greasemeister is in at number 6 because literally the same argument that Johnny had. It was a world's winning roster. They, in EU, were running rings around not necessarily everybody. Back in the Mike days, yes, they absolutely were. And again, keep your eyes peeled. But yes, they are a roster that has... made sure that they were the
Stumpy.
First EU winning team.
They won Worlds, but so did Cloud9, and Cloud9 won 2 DreamHacks, and they were winning so many other events.
At home, Flipside were bigger than Cloud9 were at their time.
Wait, but they're EU.
There is also that to consider. We should make sure that is made. I don't know. Very clear.
If you'd said Flipside Tactics, the other version, I think there's an argument for it because they were what they were. I mean, this is the greatest of all time. That roster was literally, if you were to define them, you'd say greatness because that's what they were. But I don't know. I don't see it. Personally, I don't think Greasy, Cux, or Marky can. That their legacy doesn't even come close to Gimmick Swishy Torment for me. What CJ Tbates? Anybody? Got thoughts on that?
Wait, it's in relative to the time, obviously.
What's the point?
No, just like in terms of greatness, because they both won a Worlds, and I think they both won a regional.
Because bear in mind we're talking about the relativity to their time that they existed at, and I think Flipside was the household name in Rocket League at that moment.
Yeah, but
they
roster,
were the biggest team.
The roster of Greasy, Cux, or Marky, I think most of what you're talking about is because of Mike Rules.
Wait, with the Greasy thing. Back then, Gfinity was like a huge thing, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of like
all the
EU.
weeklies were, the ESLs as well,
and like they basically won everything. For that 2016 stretch, they got first in Gfin like every single week playing Market and everybody else in between. They were really good.
I don't actually know the exact number, but I mean, for me, the small tournaments have more relevancy before RLCS season 1 and 2 started coming along and really taking the center stage.
Well, they were the only tournaments really, like. There were no other metric that you look at.
Yeah, there were no other lines. So I could see maybe there's an argument that if there were other lines, they could have maybe won 1 or 2 more. But Cloud9 won 3. They did win 3. It's not even maybe they could have won. They actually did.
But bear in mind that I think that's an unfair metric to judge Flipside by, seeing as they didn't have the opportunity to.
Yeah, they didn't have lands. I feel like
Sorry, go on, Tbates.
Oh, I think we're about to say the same thing. If there were lands, they would have won multiple.
Yes. Exactly.
Now I'm not going as far as Stumpy and putting him above Cloud9, but
I don't know. It wasn't like that clear cut. I think people remember, and I was the manager of this team. I was really good friends with this team. I knew how good they were. I don't think it was as clear cut as people seem to remember it. Like Northern Gaming were still really good, and Mocket were still really good. I think who were the NA teams that were competitive back then? Probably nobody. But I mean, the other EU teams were good back then. There was like the top 3 EU were solid competition. I think if there were more LANs, it wouldn't just be guaranteed the Flipside would win them all. Like Mocket are a threat for sure. And also Flipside did fall off. They didn't dominate season 3. The Northern Gaming with Devo were the clear best team in EU in season 3 for me. Even though Flipside were still up there, and at LAN they came 5th. They lost to Leftovers. So they got that epic Farah goal on them, where the French commentators screaming Farah's name, or Spanish commentators screaming Farah. That was against Flipside.
That was the fakes, wasn't it? It was the double fake or whatever.
Yeah, but there was a 9-month period. I looked it up. No, sorry, 8-month period between winning or doing well in the regional season 2 and then coming 5th place season 3. So it wasn't even that long of an era for me. It was quite quick. And the second half of that, they weren't the best team. I think they were the best team for maybe 4 or 5 months. Season 2, basically, they were the best team by far. Then season 3, they weren't the best team.
Do you want to pop Mike in for Greasy then? And that then makes mine a bit more solid.
Yeah, I think there's a better argument for Mike Rule's version of Flipside being greater than Cloud9, because they were dominant for ages.
Let's go with that bad boy.
They were dominant for like 10 months.
Let's whack in Mike for Greasy on number 4.
Dominant for 10 months.
Okay, wait, when you bring up the Mike Rules team, though, like, are you talking about like 2015?
2015-16, yeah.
But that's just like that's so hard to quantify. Really, like how like they were just better.
Yeah, so that's what this is about.
A lot of people are nowhere near as good.
But you can only judge them based on that.
That's not their fault, though. You can't like knock them down a great list of all time because the other teams weren't as good as them. Like they were just really, really good. They were the best team by far, and they won tournaments without even trying. They were winning events without even trying. I saw a video of them beating up on IBP.
Like every single week.
They were beating up IBP while like I think Mike Rules or Marky was singing the Jurassic Park theme song. Cuxer didn't come back then, and Mike Rules is just laughing, probably drunk, and they 8-0'd Cornovi Sad Junior Gibbs. They were just like they were stomping everybody without even trying. Like
but they lost.
They literally they lost season 1 because that was when they reached the end of them being good. But the 10 months before that, they were just unquestionably the best team. And hey, I still think Flipside were the best team in season 1 LAN. They were the best team. The best team doesn't always win on the day. I know like it was a fair win for IBP. They were better that day, but I think if you ran like that LAN multiple times, Flipside would win the most. They would win that LAN more than anyone else.
NRG on the list, 1 goal away, Flipside dominating everybody when nobody was good. Then all of a sudden they play somebody who's actually decent-ish and they lose.
Flipside were better than IBP. They were in their honeymoon period and they had a lucky LAN. IBP got lucky. They weren't even better than Northern Gaming that LAN. Now how did Northern Gaming lose to IBP? I think you're forgetting,
Johnny, the over 0, he literally air dribbled once.
That goal was lucky.
I don't mean to really blow their trumpet, Johnny, but he air dribbled once.
Yeah, like I think they deserved the LAN. They were the team that played best on that 2-day event, but they were not the best team at that time. Flipside were the best team in the world at that time. I don't think anybody would argue that. Anyone who was there to see it, anybody who watched all the events back then. Flipside were the better team.
Look,
IBP collapsed the next season. They got like 7th in NA. They lost to everybody. They lost to teams that I don't even remember.
Let me go my number 7 pick, Johnny.
No, 6 you
because we can keep talking about this.
Is it 6? 6, right?
With my number 6 pick. Yes, I really hope I've only got 6 teams. 1, 2,
I think I've accidentally only got 9, by the way.
You're going to run out of teams.
So you're telling me that the Peeps are the 9th greatest team of all time, Stumpy? That's what you're telling us right now. Okay, anyway,
CJ, you have no idea how stressed I am in my day-to-day life. This list means absolutely fucking nothing to me.
This is where I get nervous because I just feel like I'm leaving out some stuff, but I wanted to cut in there because we can keep talking about it. Now, as I said, this team, Flipside Tactics, I had trouble splitting them up because I forgot that they split up. Now, because they split up, this was hard for me to pick out which one was better. I know that Johnny's quite, I don't want to say biased, but obviously he was the manager of the early team, the 2015 team. He weighs that very highly in terms of how dominant they are. I agree. They were very dominant. I didn't actually say they were number 6, Johnny, but I'm happy you put them there because they are my number 6 team.
Reading your mind.
Flipside Tactics with Greasy. obviously instead of Mike Rules. Now this team,
Okay, why?
I have weighed higher because I agree with Tbates. Now 2015, although we can't blame them that there's no Worlds, I definitely weigh the fact that they won a Worlds and there were World Championships sort of, as you said, the early flip side, they came to their end at season 1. They got second. They probably should have won. Now, there weren't any World Championships. There is an argument to say that in 2015, Flipside was so good because everyone was so bad at Rocket League.
That's not their fault, though. How is that their fault?
That's context, though. They're not playing anybody.
They were still the greatest team
I know
at the
it's not their
time.
fault, but I just have to. This is where I have to weigh World Championships a little bit higher. Now, I'm not saying that every team above this has won at Worlds. They might not have. Now,
How have you got a top 5 without winning Worlds at this point?
I don't believe this.
Stop
What
it.
is happening?
Now, I'm putting this team because I believe they won a DreamHack as well after winning Worlds. This is just from my heart, my memory. I think my heart's pulling me towards Greasy Master as well.
They won the DreamHack
Yes,
with
I
Mystic
think-
when they benched Greasy.
Yeah,
Or Greasy
they
left.
won with-
Greasy
They
left
didn't
and they
win a
won it with
DreamHack.
Mystic.
That doesn't matter. They won Season 2 Worlds and they won Season... Did they win Season 2 Regional or Season... Yeah,
Season
so
2
they won
regional,
the Season
Season
2
2 Worlds,
EU.
yeah.
One season 2 regional in EU.
Yep.
This team was really. This team was. I enjoyed watching this team. They go above just for that Worlds win. Although
Okay.
I think if Flipside won season 1 with Mike, they would definitely be higher on this list. They unfortunately didn't because Rocket League Jesus over 0 popped off. I may be missing out on some teams here in this top 5 now. I'm getting concerned, but that's my flip side. I've split them up and I've just put the one that won Worlds a bit higher.
Okay. I think it's fair enough. I think there's a discussion there. Tbates, you can weigh in on that or reveal your number 6. What do you want to do now?
I like his F3 Greasy. Obviously, I'm nowhere near. Did you say Greasy?
What's wrong with my F3?
Well, yours ahead of Cloud9. That's why it was. That's why it was.
I'm this. Your whole entire list is just nah. No, I'm not looking at it anymore. Stumpy. Where's I going? Oh yeah. Okay. I'm beginning to get worried because Stumpy said something, and now I don't even know if this team's on his list, but he has to be on his list. There's no way he's not.
I've only got 9 teams. I'll slot someone in.
Yeah. So if I have Envy at 7, then I'm gonna go relatively to what's happening currently in RLCS again, and the only other team I believe that qualifies for this is VDS. You're making FAs because you're a VDS stan. And they fall in the same thing as Envy. I believe, like I said, I believe Envy's better than them, but I have BDS higher because they are 15-15 grand finals. They're dominating EU in a way that no other team besides one other team has, or maybe 2 or 3, and relative to their respective eras. And I mean, it's not, if there are lands and majors and all that taken into account, BDS might be a little bit higher, but there's also no Worlds. It's not really their fault. So it's about as high as I could put them in terms of all time, until they can actually compete on a LAN and world stage, because the teams above them have all done it. And yeah, so they're respectively great, but I can't put them.
I mean, for now, this is fine. I want to see who you got above them, but yeah, I think BDS in this kind of range is fair. What do you, CJ, Stumpy? What do you think here?
I love it. Well, I don't want to say I love it because that's I'm going to be giving away too much, but I agree. If there was a Worlds, I think we could have the Beast BDS team could really show how good they are. Unfortunately, although this is the argument Johnny's making with 2015 Flipside, there was no Worlds. It's not their fault. Is it BDS's fault there's no Worlds? They could prove everyone that they're best. There's an argument to say they could be higher on
I wouldn't
this
like
list.
to blame them for COVID personally, but
Exactly. But I respect that. I'm still looking at Team Envy on your list, and I just can't take you seriously.
I'm so confused with the Envy. How you like the BDS, but is it because BDS legit are winning everything?
Because Envy didn't win everything in NA for a whole year.
But NA is better.
But that's subjective though. That's it's hypothetical. It's hypothetical.
NA by the conclusion of this major is going to have 4 teams above 3,000 points. EU has 2.
How many above 5,000 out of interest?
That just means that's like compare BDS. It's like comparing EU and OCE. Like what?
Yeah, and EU's better than OCE.
And OCE still has at least Renegades, and they're at least at 3,800.
There's only one team that won all 3 majors in the world, and I know that they might not be in the
majors are region specific.
Yeah, but they still won
a little bit too much stock in the
Envy number
major?
7.
Wait, talk about how big of a difference do y'all think of majors and regionals are? They're the same thing.
Nah, I think
one just has a little bit more money and more points.
They're the same. They're the same money actually.
I don't really think players
Garrett
approach them
G
differently.
said yourself. Garrett G said, and you like to quote what Garrett said. Garrett said majors have the land feel about them when they won the last major. So
and he said even Justin was motivated for major. I know the players are taking it more seriously.
So you can't say they're the same as regionals.
Okay, they're probably they're probably more, but like it's not like what's the difference?
I would also say that
double
every
points.
team in a major, every team in a major has to have performed well through 3 regionals. Even if the teams are quite similar, in a regional, one team can pop off and do incredibly well, right? Like one team can just win a regional through one weekend's performance. You can't even get to a major without performing at least 2 times, usually 3 times. It is the top of the region after they have all done well respectively to then get to that point.
Yeah, I mean, I know that multiple players take their majors more, like that's what they really care about, and that's what they're really grinding for. So every team shows up at the majors. In the regionals, maybe not every team is really, grinding or boot camping or scrimming that hard. They might be taking it easy, especially late in the season. But everybody shows up for the major, and it'll be the same for NA. Then I think Envy, they've got a good chance, but they haven't won any yet. They just got outperformed by SSG in the first one, NRG in the second one. But yeah, I think it's wrong to put BDS and Envy that close when we're looking at greatest of all time, because winning every final is pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Envy haven't done that.
I know that you say that EU weaker region, but that's a very...
how many teams are we looking at here who can't win? NRG can't win a final. G2 Esports can't win the final on LAN. Method, they lose finals. We're talking about how important that is. It's an equal level of importance that BDS have won all the finals, especially going 3 majors in a row is pretty ridiculous over a 10-month period. This is we have to remember, this time span is the same time span that Flipside Tactics and Greasy Cuxer Markey were a roster for. That team started and then disbanded in, one player left, in the time that BDS have been the best team in Europe and been winning all these events with nobody coming close to them. That's
I have an honest question for all y'all.
All
y'all. I need to ask all y'all this solid question. Going into this major, did you believe anybody but BDS was going to win? And don't tell me it's because BDS is so great.
What is that? No, that's exactly what it proves. No, I was confident BDS would win because they're so great. They're such a great team, and they are so clutch, and they show up every time in the majors. I thought they would win.
Realistically speaking, if you put BDS in this NA major this weekend, would you still have them just winning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
They've got the ice. They've got the ice. I've seen Space Station look like trash in the winter split. I've seen NRG choking to Space Station earlier on in this season. I've seen Envy choking to NRG earlier on in the season. I've seen all those teams looking complete garbage against each other. And it's not like one team just steps up and elevates like BDS do when they play against the top
BDS even look good this last weekend?
I think Mark Payet scored the best goal I've ever seen, but yeah, BDS looked unstoppable. They didn't look like anybody could beat them. They just step it up, and they beat teams who are having their best tournament. Like Giants have their best tournament ever. BDS slap them. Vitality have their best tournament ever. BDS slap them.
Bear in mind.
Yeah, they just slap everybody, and it doesn't matter.
I think I'll be mentioning Giants. Giants.
No, at the start of the season, Giants were a very good team. They were. They fell off, but
Giants
they were very good.
threw it at the end. Yeah,
they were very good.
They didn't. Yeah, bear in mind they were they got to 3rd at one point, and then they sort of gradually maybe even 4th, then slowly started then going down. Yeah, but Tbates, that's after they then got to the grand finals and looked like they were probably going to win that, and yet BDS came through and secured the only bracket reset win of the RLCS.
They're the only team who look better when the stakes rise. Like other teams look like they're a bit nervous and they look like they're just trying to keep it all together and not mess up and play not to lose. BDS are actually just out there. Mark's just no respect, doesn't care. They're the only team for me who I think, wow, why are they actually just playing better now that it's a final? It doesn't make sense. The stakes go up, they play better. That's why I think if the stakes go up, like on a LAN or anything, they're going to probably play even better because they've got that mentality. They got the winner's mentality. They can regulate their emotions. They're like, oh, we got scored on, no big deal, right? Let's just go score twice on these guys. That's unique to me. I don't see that in NA. I don't see that in NA. Not yet, at least. I've not seen a team put in their season best performance in a grand final of a major. It's like, yeah, they look all right, but they're Nobody's like, elevating like that. I mean, is there a team that you see elevating as the pressure rises? They just keep getting better in NA, Tbates?
And not every tournament in NA, no.
That's the point, though. BDS do it every single tournament. The stakes get higher and they show up.
Against different opponents, too.
Against the teams who are having their best day of the entire season, BDS has beat them.
Oh.
No team in NA is doing this. No team in NA is doing this. They're not playing the best. I think Rogue is the closest.
That the highest level of Rocket League we have seen this whole entire RLCS was Rogue NRG Grand Final. Went to Major. I believe that was the highest level of Rocket League.
Nah, I don't even think that was the highest level in NA.
I don't even think it's comparable.
I don't even think Rogue NRG was the highest level NA scene, to be honest.
What would you think?
I think every time that I've seen a final on a regional or major between Space Station, Envy, or NRG, it's been better than Rogue NRG. I don't put Rogue in that conversation at all. I don't think that they're. I think the best grand finals. Rogue are overrated, to be honest.
I think the best grand finals we've seen so far for me was, and maybe it's biased because it was my first one, lol, but it was the BDS Giants grand final, the bracket reset, where you saw both teams start off incredibly strong, and then, admittedly, there was a lull somewhere in the middle where you saw the stamina really start to suffer. People, they were whiffing every now and then, and it was not great. There were times where you just think, oh my God, you need to hit that. And then it just ramped up to a level that was better than before. That was then the best grand final. Story-wise, playstyle-wise, general, just everything that culminated in that grand final. I think that was the best one. And BDS still won it, lol.
I don't know. I just don't see any NA team coming close to that level of greatness. Because, I mean, we're not talking best team. Best team, it would be close. I think BDS, Envy, NRG, Space Station are all pretty close, but none of them have like put up the results, the consistency, the domination.
I'm just interested to see what world champs I got BDS over.
Number six for me. Is
BDS.
This is a team who I think have a very similar story to the Flipside Tactics roster of Greasy, Cuxer, Marky Duda. In fact, extremely similar. Like so much so that, like I said, 8-7-6 for me. I'd like to remind you, we're very close, and it's the NRG roster of the Turbo version of Garrett G, Justin, and Turbo Pulsa. And think about the similarities here. Flipside, they lose a LAN in a grand final with Mike Rules. They replace him with Turbo, then they win the next LAN. Or they replace him with Greasy, win the next LAN. NRG did the same thing. They lost with Fireburner, and then it was a little bit of a longer gap, but then, they got Turbo and they win a LAN. So, they just make one roster change, they win Worlds, and then they fall off pretty sharply. They're not even the best in the region anymore. G2 eclipsed them. So I think they're a very similar story to Flipside Tactics. Almost identical. I've got them like so close. The only reason I put NRG higher is because I don't think they fell off as much as Flipside Tactics. Although I could see an argument for putting Flipside with Greasy ahead of them. I think it's extremely close, these two rosters. And even G2 Esports with Chicago JNAPS Rizzo, second at Worlds, winning Season 9 when there was no LAN in NA. I think 6, 7, 8 for me are all extremely tight. But
I think that's a very good pick, John, and I respect
That's fair. I'm happy.
Yes.
No arguments there. Lock it in.
Tbates has got to be arguing this one, surely.
I'm just saying complete disagreement. I don't understand how you have BDS above that roster, but it's all good.
No, it's because this team they just like their success was so short lived. Flipside Tactics with Greasy, success was like 4-month period. Same thing with NRG. They just had one good season, and then after that they were nowhere near the same level. G2 beat them regionally twice in a row. Beat them Season 9, beat them in Spring Series. NRG kicked Turbo. Like they had such a short lived period, and yes, they were the best team in the world for that period. By a very small margin, beating Vitality, but they're still the best team in the world for that period. They won Summit as well, which was a bit of a fun LAN, but it's still a LAN win nonetheless. I don't know, not long enough though. They didn't have domination anywhere near the length that the teams I have above them did, and that's what's separated my top 5 from the other 5. It's like,
do we have different metrics going into this? Where I've been looking at, I think I've been more, I think I focused a bit more on randomness. I think I really flipped a coin for a lot of these. No, it's to do with the longevity as well of the rosters and like how much they changed the game. I feel like after.
No, I like how you say that, but then you have Cloud9 at 7. Like, so your logic isn't making sense. But it does. I like how you like.
Agree. I think Cloud9 is the worst pick. so far, the worst placement. But I think
Oh,
Team
yeah.
NV7, Team NV7
Not
is
even close.
comfortably the second worst pick for me. I think Team NV7 is ridiculous.
But you're gonna have BDS above NRG Turbo, which
Well,
is
you,
just
you didn't put NRG this season ahead of Envy, and I think NRG this season are a greater team than Envy because they got more points, more major wins, and they've been more consistent throughout the whole season. I think Envy aren't even as good as NRG this season. You've got
They've been more
Envy at
consistent.
7. Yeah,
Envy's
I'd put
been
NRG
more
ahead of them.
consistent than NRG. Garrett even said it. He won the major. That's why they're above them. But in terms of Envy doesn't have a single time throughout this whole. I don't want to harp on Envy too long.
I think it's the
But
same
Envy
with
doesn't,
NRG though. Didn't they like finish top 4 and everything apart from one time that they lost to Roldes? Like that was it. They're basically the same in that regard. They've been super consistent as well. Like I think the fact NRG have the major win makes them slightly ahead of Envy for me in the great like conversation. But you don't have NRG. You don't have that NRG team in your list, do you, Tbates? No way.
Nope.
Okay. See, that's like why I don't think Envy is good because I don't even have them best NA or greatest team NA this season. But that's just my opinion. All right. Oh my goodness, I just saw the time. Right, we need to get into top 5s. Let's have
Let's get it.
CJ top 5. Who's your number 5? CJ, start us off here.
I'm glad you went me because we can continue this discussion. Now, for me, my top 5 pick, number 5 that I'm going to have here is going to be BDS.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Now, I cannot, Johnny Boy, Stumpy, I cannot, with everything in me, have BDS in the top 4 if you haven't won a world championship. Now, listen, I understand for a year they've been the best team in the region, which is why I've got them so high, because I do rate EU. I do rate the region. But when you look at it over the course of a year's period, originally that is 2 RLCS seasons. Basically, BDS, if it was a normal old league play bracket, older format, they've won 2 EU championships, 2
Bear in mind
EU
the
regionals.
Consider the
Alright.
amount of series that have been won as well, not just necessarily the time that has been in there too.
Well done. They played as many series as they could in that time period. We played, what is that argument? Yeah, we played more series this year. There were a lot more regionals, okay? I understand. They won 3 majors. I've got them high. Don't argue with me, all right? Number 5, BDS. I cannot put them above NRG because they won a regional, all right? So, but the way I'm looking at it with format-wise is like EU BDS, they dominated 2 seasons of European Rocket League, continue for a year, or one, a whole season. NRG dominated 1 North American regional. I think they swept the finals. They were very good. They then went to win a world championship and also just along the way just decided to win a summit for a bit of fun. That is 2 international events and a regional. Yeah, and compared to BDS, I understand they're very dominant. There is just no way I can have them top 4 if you don't win a world. I just can't. But very credit to BDS. That's why I've got the number 5 because they have been incredibly dominant in their respective region, and I would argue more dominant than the teams that I've got below. So well done to BDS, but number 5, that is as high as I feel like you can possibly put them. I know that it's not their fault. They haven't won a Worlds because there hasn't been a Worlds or an international event, but it's online, it's a regional, and we just don't quite know how good Europe is, which is what Tbates is saying. So number 5, that's as high as I can put them.
I want to jump in here because CJCJ addressed me at the start of this number 5 pick as if this would be crazy to me, but I don't see why he did that because I have team BDS number 5 as well. So I don't know why you expected this to be a shock for me because I guess the only thing that I have to explain is why I have them ahead of NRG because you called that out as a weird thing. But yeah, it's just because of the time that they've been dominant for. NRG were only the top team for like 4 months max, and then they fell off. And they fell off pretty sharply. They
lost to G2 by 1 game in a regional.
Yeah, but then they lost in spring series as well, and in the group stage, in the league play, they were dropping other series. I think they dropped 3 series overall. It all matters to me. They weren't the best team in NA anymore. If they're not the best team in NA, are they even still better than Vitality? I don't even know if they are. Better than Dignitas? Probably not, because they look pretty much on G2's level. So yeah, I think they fell off too much, and they're like Flipside Tactics and Greasy to me. They came in, they were the best team, and then they weren't the best team anymore in a very quick time span. Whereas Team BDS, we're looking at 10 months of domination. If they win the championships, that's a year of domination, and it's not their fault there's not a Worlds. I don't think anybody would say that they don't think BDS would have won a LAN. Do any of you think if all these majors were LANs, that BDS wouldn't win at least one of them? Can you all agree that they'd win at least one of the majors?
They probably win all of them because Regis isn't good.
No, with NA, with NA. I mean, if they were LANs and NA was their teammates.
I just don't know how they
dream hack.
If all the majors were international LANs, I mean, and all the NA teams are there, I think there's nobody is crazy enough to say that BDS wouldn't at least win one of them. I think
I'm not guaranteeing a LAN.
I can't do that. I just don't know. I've never seen them on LAN.
I can't do that.
These guys, they win every grand final. Of course, they're going to be good on LAN.
Different, and they would be playing.
Plus, they've played LANs before. They're not LAN rookies. They've played other LANs. They've played DreamHacks as different teams. They've played French LANs. These guys have played LANs. It's not like they're going to go from nothing. They're fresh out of school, 15 young kids. These are older guys. They know how to handle themselves on LAN. And they've got every indication of players who are going to dominate on LAN. Players like Justin, who are absolutely dominant online. They go on LAN, same thing. Every player that does this online, they go to LAN, and it's the exact same. I don't see a choke happening here. They're not smart players online.
Would it be a
who
choke,
IQ
though?
outwins. They're mechanical. They're fast. And even Garrett himself, Tbates' favorite player, said that when he's played them, they were playing against a LAN team because their style is going to suit LAN perfectly. I don't know. For me, they could easily have doubled up on LAN wins this season and they'd have a great shot at Worlds if there was one. Absolutely no discussion that they'd have a shot at winning that. So if we're looking at multiple LANs, there probably would have been 3 to 5 LANs up till now in the RLCSX season. BDS are winning at least one for me. They're winning at least one. It's not their fault that that's not happened. And in the meantime, they're winning absolutely everything they can win, which is not in a time frame far greater than NRG and Flipside. So that's why I got
I say, Johnny,
I love this team. I love this team.
You questioned Tbates though when he was, I don't know, I still don't agree with what he was saying, but he was saying hypothetically Envy, if we had lands because they have turbo, we could justify a spot. And then you said you can't say the what ifs, which I agree with, but you're also trying to justify hypothetically if BDS had lands, they would, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that was a hypothetical, if he stayed on the roster, but that's different. They're doing everything they can. This is it's not their fault. It is Turbo. It's NRG's fault that they benched Turbo. You can't say if they'd kept him, they would have won more. It's their fault. They literally benched the guy. But in this case, I think the hypothetical stands because it isn't up to them, the fact that there isn't LANs. So it's what more can they do? They've done absolutely everything they can. But I don't know. NRG, Flipside are the same team for me, and CJ put them ahead of the Flipside. So you got to agree with me on at least some of those points, I guess. I don't know. NRG and Flipside.
We both got them 5.
Yeah.
I got them
at
6.
5.
I mean, it's
T-Bates, you had them at 6. So come on, are you this junk?
No, I'm with you. The only part I'm not with you with is that if there's international lands, you're saying they would win. Well, I think
it's likely. I think it's likely that they would have won.
They would be. They'd be like a top. If you're looking at 5, 6 teams, you put them in there.
If somebody T-Bates, if somebody came from a parallel universe and they kidnapped you, put a gun to your head and said, in my universe, COVID didn't happen, how many LANs did BDS win out of the last 3 majors? What are you answering? If you get it wrong, you're dead on the spot. I'm saying 1. I'm saying 1. Just as a law of probabilities, I'm going to 1.
0. I can't.
You're saying 0. Bam.
0.
You're dead.
You're
dead. No way is 0 probable. That's not probable.
That's so probable.
Nah, I don't think so. I think
they're going against the goats on land, bro.
That's a hypothetical I want to see everybody answer, though, because I feel like that's where it gets interesting.
Okay. Is this my number 5?
Yeah, go for it. Go for number 5.
All right. My number 5 is... I actually, after redoing this on first touch, I had them at number 3.
Okay.
But then I did doing more research stuff. I moved them down. So now, my number 5 is Flipside Tactics with Greasy. World champs, iconic. Marky, obviously iconic. And then I put a lot of stock into the G-Fins. Johnny, you have way more knowledge of this team than I will ever have. So I gotta concede some points to you. But generally speaking, they didn't dominate as much as the other team did. But I feel like the competition in the latter half of 2016 was much greater than 2015. Northern Gaming Market especially, and they would. You say they were very close. I look at the results, and it doesn't necessarily say that they're really close. And and then they ended up winning in dominating fashion, and it's just one of the most iconic teams ever. I put a lot into their meta. Cuxer was also pounding the back wall, I feel like, somewhat, and then Devo took that to a whole nother level. And so yeah, I got them at number 5 there. I genuinely
I think they definitely get icon points, right? Like just for getting so many people into Rocket
and then they
League.
brought
They
the
were
people
like,
into the game. Yeah,
yeah, they brought so many people.
I think they're
in.
the number 1 team that far.
Even just Cooks like streaming brought so many people. Same with Chronovi, like brought so many people into Rocket League in the first place.
You know, actually, so if I had to pick one thing from this Flipside Tactics team that they revolutionized the most, it wouldn't actually be Cuxer's backboard play, because I think that came from the earliest. People already knew that before Greasy joined the roster. But when Greasy joined the roster, they really did start to pass a lot more than any other team. They were by far the best team at passing, and every time that they hit an infield pass, I was watching, like, it was so funny watching scrims for that LAN. They'd hit an infield pass, it's like the other team were like, what is that? They're like, what is that?
It's because nobody else was passing, like, at all.
No,
like, you'd see
definitely
it every now and then,
infield.
like in a Gfinity or an ESL or something. Like, they'd just be passing around every other team.
Well, I don't think they get enough credit for that, because, you know, I hear Cloud9 always get mentioned as a team that brought passing to North America, but that was season, 4 or something? I think Flipside were doing that like a whole year before this. They were like doing infield passes, and they were passing like just as much, if not more, but way before anybody else. I think they, for me, were the team who really brought like passing to another level. Okay. But not the backboard passes, the Weedham Girls backboard passes, where it's just like backboard, somebody rebounds. That's the Weedham Girls thing. Flipside, I mean, like infield, downfield, like 1-2s. That was their thing. They definitely were the first team to be the best team in the world with that style for me, not Cloud9. Cloud9 maybe did it in NA first, but not worldwide. Flipside farming NA teams in scrims with passes. Oh my goodness, I'm like, what are they doing? That's just wide open. But times have changed. Right, we got to get Stumpy's 5 before we can move on here. Stumpy.
My 5 is what I consider to be a very sensible 5th pick. I'm going to be putting in NRG of Garrett, Turbo, and Justin in my number 5. I think the fact that NRG were like we said earlier with Fireburner, a second place team for so long, outside of NA when they were pretty much a first place team. They were a second place team for so long at LANs, and then they get Turbo, and then they win. I think that just clearly puts them above the previous version of NRG. They are just a great team, and I love them a lot. So, yeah, those lads.
So you had them 5. Where did CJ had them at 8? I have them. No, that's a different one. That's the Fireburner one. You don't have them in yet. I have them 6. Tbates doesn't have them in yet. I can only imagine they're going to be in there. Do either of you have them at 4?
He's got a little
CJ?
smile.
Do either of you have them at 4?
Are you just going to go on it? Yeah, I got to
Let's go after 4 for me as well.
You do as well. Okay.
Let's get it together. I'll start. You finish off. We'll just have a nice little coherent, well-rounded. All right. So number 4. They, as I said, BDS, they were dominant for the 12 months in a region. And I think I argued how NRG, this team, they won a world championship. It was a short period. They also, I think the icing on the cake was just a nice little summit win, a nice little fun event. This team was incredible just off the bat. I think it showed again from swapping out 5 for Turbo, just that winning edge. I think that, no discredit to Fireburner, but they just couldn't find a way in that season 5 World Championship. Unlucky, 1 goal. Turbo came in and they got the win by the goal. I mean, maybe here's the difference, but this team is incredible. I can't put them any higher than 4th. But I'll definitely put them above BDS because, I mean, they won a Worlds. They won 2 international events and a regional. I mean, I just have to put them above BDS because of that. And, yeah, I think that's exactly where they should be. I think the teams above them have higher
It was like a 4-month window, and then they
But it's just such a dominant period. They're arguably the best team ever.
BDS have a dominant period that's more than twice as long. But
then they finished.
And it's not even
that's a region, though.
Yeah, but it's not that's not their fault, though.
And it's not BDS's fault. But
we're halving. So
that.
BDS dominated 10 months so far. It's not including NA though, so we'll half that to 5 months. That still beats the 4 months that NRG dominated. Still beats it. Mathematics.
That is terrible.
Mathematics.
That math. That equation was awful. It doesn't matter how much you have it. You can make it 1 month. It's still EU only. It's not including NA or OCE if OCE pops off. And Sam maybe. But it's just I can't justify BDS above NRG. it's just winning the world championship, winning the 2 international events, being beyond the summit is laughing and all that, but they still do try and want to win. Everybody still wants to win there, and
they do.
and then it's just they beat one of the greatest teams of all time, Vitality. So, I mean, you gotta put that into perspective. That is great performance and just pure skill on that team. It's just, and Turbo was the difference, as CJ said. You bring Turbo on, no disrespect to Fire, but Turbo gave him that edge, and they finished.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think many people disagree with NRG in that 4th position. In fairness, I think
where do we have them? You guys got them at 4, Stumpy 5, me 6. They're all very close. The only difference is that I've got BDS ahead of them. CJ has it, and CJ and Tbates have BDS below them.
And I'm going to have them ahead as well.
We all have them ahead of the Flipside Tactics rosters, though, so that's at least we can agree on that one. But now, I just think the energy with that, like I said earlier, for me, that was just the same. They're the same. They did the same thing as Flipside Ugarizi did. Picked up a new player, won LAN, and then they fell off. So, yeah.
I agree. I think my metric, Johnny, was like a more competitive era.
More competitive year.
And, that's why it's 6-4. That's like the difference for me.
I think in that season there were a solid 4 teams that could have won that LAN as well. And yeah, NRG bring on Turbo, and then they do after so many close results previously. I think that definitely went.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I put them ahead of Flipside.
Yeah.
That and the Summit win, it was just like Martin. They didn't fall off as hard. They're all pretty close. I don't know. There's definitely an argument for it. Like I have BDS ahead, but I can see that there's a discussion there. It's not like a clear cut thing. It's definitely like points on either side. But anyway, my 4, let me just make sure I have this right. Yes, okay, so my 4th best team of all time is Renault Vitality, the Scrub Killer edition, because they won LAN, so they did exactly the same thing as what Flipside and NRG did. They picked up a new player, this time it was K-Dop, they won a LAN, except they didn't fall off. They actually were still good the next season, good enough to come second at the LAN, losing in overtime. They're so clearly ahead of NRG and Flipside for me. This wasn't hard. Like, I have them very obviously ahead because they did the same thing. They picked up a new player, won LAN, and then they actually stayed good. And they had better finishes overall. They had more grand finals. I think they had 5 grand finals to Flipside's 3, NRG's 4. So they were like definitely getting higher consistent picks. And they were playing for a very similar kind of period. Flipside 8 months, NRG 9 months, Renault Vitality 11 months. So yeah, they did more in that period than their rivals did, in my opinion. That's why I've got them in here.
Can we just talk about the elephant in the room? There is no way you can put Flipside higher you can't put them in your top 3, Johnny.
Yeah. I was trying to figure out who he had, but he has them in there. He does have them in there. He has them in there. He has them in there.
You can't put them above Vitality.
We're talking greatness, CJ. We're talking greatness. They were the team for almost
Vitality
an entire
won Worlds
year.
And got second. Oh.
Yeah, but even in this period, they wasn't as great. They weren't
just
the team.
There's more.
They weren't the guy. Like the OG Flipside roster were the guy. They were the guy. They were going in there and they were winning events without even trying. And they were the best team without even trying. Nobody would debate that from the beginning of Rocket League until even season 1. I think everybody would agree that they were the best team. From the beginning of Rocket League till season 1, they were the best team, no question. Yeah, they got a second place a few times, but I think even in those events, people would say, okay, the other team had their day, but Flipside are still better. And they'd be right. They were better. And they were the best team in the world for a 10, 11-month period.
Okay.
Facts. That's greatness to me. They're the best for
thinking
a long, long time.
comparatively versus the teams, there's definitely that argument.
And that was international. They were the best team, and there were online events. NA played AU. It's not like the BDS greatest team in Europe for a 10-month period. They were the greatest team in the world for at the same kind of length as BDS are in Europe now. That's the same time frame that Flipside with Mike were the best team. So I'll go ahead and put them at number 3 because we're talking about it. So they're my number 3. They're my number 3. Just so you guys don't completely lose your minds, because I do have them number 3. Okay. Yeah, that's why they did what BDS did, but against the entire world, not just Europe. Incredible. That's greatness to me. That to me is greatness.
Would you like my number 4?
Yes. We need that. We need it.
My number 4 is a team that I think will blow people's goddamn minds, if I'm being honest.
I'm ready to leave this call instantly.
I think people are going to be very, very surprised with my number 4 pick, because it's a team that I have definitely spoken a lot about, and I would say that my number 4 greatest roster of all time is BDS. Mark, Extra, and Monkey Moon. I think people would have thought that I would have. No, people would have thought that I was going to put them higher.
I did. I think you would. Yeah,
I did.
Out of the teams that, again, when I got to the top, it is so hard to figure out the metric between a lot of these teams when you're trying to compare them with their previous times and everything when they have different tournaments going on. But yeah, cheeky number 4 spot, and that's not too different from you guys either, to be fair. So GG.
Yeah, it's pretty close, actually. Pretty close. After all that BDS argument, we kind of agree.
I didn't have number 2. I was just waiting.
Sorry to make that one boring.
I was just waiting on him. No, I was waiting. Oof. My number 3 now? Or CJ's number 3? I can go first.
Before you guys do number 3, I want to answer. Some people in chat are saying that I only put Flipside that high because I'm friends with them. I would like to point out that I'm probably better friends with Greasy than I am with Mike. So the fact that I've got that roster higher than the Greasy edition
and you
doesn't
hate Marky.
Look like,
so the fact that he's that
Marky's a jerk, dude. Nah, it's not a friend thing. It's nothing to do with that at all. It's completely just my perspective on what the team's achieved in their era. So Greasy. Mike's a great guy, but I was definitely closer with Greasy than I was with him. So I just want to shut that down. Get that nonsense out of here. I don't hate Marky as well. That was a joke. But anyways,
sorry.
The number 3s. Who wants to go first?
I'll hit it. I feel like we're gonna be very similar here as well. I think me and CJ are on the same wavelength for the most part. Now, I think I'm going Vitality. I don't know if you're gonna go.
Bang. Yep. Just lock it for me. You go, then I'll go.
Okay, Vitality.
Wow.
You got to respect the greatness. One-time world champ with Scrub. This is Scrub variant, by the way. And then after that, I have them above NRG just because their consistency over the year is greater than NRG's was for that 4 to 6-ish month span. They're one goal away from becoming 2 times world champs, one of the greatest rosters of all time. And they were legitimately the best team in EU for a year, and arguably the best team in the world for a year, and with international, something that BDS cannot put a claim on because they do not have international play yet. So, Vitality number 3.
100%. I think that for me, when I originally did this list, I thought 4 to 10 was going to be tough, but I honestly thought we'd all have the same 1, 2, and 3. So I'm a little bit surprised with Johnny whacking the flip side roster in there instead of Vitality at 3.
That's greatness, man. Best team in the world for 10 months. Vitality were in the conversation to be best team in the world for 10 months, not best team in the world. So
took out a world championship, was a goal away from going back to back.
I'm calling MLG Pro League Worlds, by the way, just for the record. I consider that like a Worlds level event. It was the biggest event in Rocket League history. Flipside won it. Then the RLC Pro League, that's also the same as Worlds for me because it was the biggest event in Rocket League history. They got second. So I think if we're talking biggest event in Rocket League history, before it lands, you got to give it to these guys. They were putting everything on those events. That was it. That was their Worlds for these guys. The MLG Pro League, RLC Pro League.
But then they played a Worlds.
Yeah, then they did play Worlds. So imagine the MLG Pro League, RLC Pro League, and Season 1 are all Worlds. Flipside got first, second. If you look at them as Worlds events. So I think it's close.
Look,
I think it's close.
I'm glad we've got you to advocate for, the grandpas of the Rocket League scene. We need someone in there to put them high. So I respect your pick. As I said, I was surprised, but you're making some decent points.
Well, you guys think the Greasy iteration was better, and they only won for 4 months, and they won one LAN.
Although I feel like in 2015, all you needed was 2 thumbs and a brain.
Hey, listen, it's not their fault that they played SARP. There was nothing in SARP. These guys deserved it. They were so good in SARP, and there was 10 players online. Imagine being the best player in the game. There's nobody even queuing up to beat. They queue up 1v1. Nobody's even in the queue. You talk about 30-minute queues being logged. They queued for days. Nobody's queuing up. Marky Dude is like, Mike, please queue. Please queue. I want a game. I just want to play somebody. I'm rank 1. Come and take it from me. Please queue up. Come on. Give it to me. These guys they were so good. Honestly, I can't believe that you guys think this is a ridiculous pick. This is when I think greatness, GOATs, these are absolutely one of the first teams that come to mind.
See,
and I thought they were closer to second than they were to Renault Vitality, for the record. In fact, maybe I'm gonna put them second just to make it even better.
There's no way. There's no way you're gonna do that. If you do that, you have officially.
I did only think about this.
With the Cloud9-7.
I did only think about this. Second, Flipside Tactics, second ahead of who I actually have second.
That's worse than Cloud9-7. That's worse than Cloud9-7.
That was the only thing I was thinking about. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought about putting Flipside Flipside Tactics below, Renault Vitality, BDS, NRG, Flipside with Greasy. No chance. Like this Flipside Tactics with the OGs, this is greatness to me. And definitely more consistent greatness than my team who I did put second.
Do you want my third? Sorry. Are you guys carrying on?
Are you done with Vitality? You want to talk about Vitality?
Finish off, yeah.
One of Worlds, Vitality, great team, runner-up. Although they, as you said, they weren't quite as dominant in that era in their region stuff. They showed up when it counted. The World Championships, almost won 2 of them. Incredible team. They competed in 2 World Championships together and then went boom, boom, 2 finals. That's pretty incredible for me. Has to be third pick. I can't put them any higher. For me, that was pretty clear for me. Third pick there, Vitality. I think that was well earned from them. I'm interested to see what Stumpy has here because he's got Cloud9 at 7.
Wait, BDS really number 3 for you since you only have 9?
Stumpy, do you actually have? You said you accidentally only put 9 in here? Do you have 3 teams left?
Just wait. Just hold. Just hold.
There's no
Johnny.
way you could just take
Johnny,
a team off the street,
because my number 3 team is, and I've only just realised that they are my number 3 team because I didn't call them Renault Vitality, I just called them Vitality.
Okay.
It is that Vitality roster.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's K-Dot Scrub Fairy, and for all the points that CJ and Tbates made.
Yeah.
I'm confused though.
Fair.
Do you only have 1 team left?
So I accidentally only wrote 9 teams down, and I said that earlier, and I didn't want to add anybody else in. So let's just wait and see what happens, boys.
There's no way you
Can we just find out? Wait.
Put them on there.
Can we just find out? You
hold
gotta
on.
tell who's your 2, Stumpy. We need to know. We need to just find this out right now.
Oh, my number 2 team, Johnny. Is that what you want to know?
I do want to know.
Because
Yeah.
lest I remind literally everybody, I only counted to 9 teams.
Yeah, but who's number 2?
My number 2 team that I have got at the top of my list is Dignitas, quite obviously.
Why are we number 2?
K-Dop Turbo Panda, the greatest Rocket League roster ever to have played. That's obviously the Gale Force as well. Ever to have played. They won repeatedly across multiple lands, multiple worlds. They are just unbelievably goated. They are at the top of my top 9 teams.
Wait, hold on. Before we
Just
can
you do
continue.
your second teams. You do your second teams. guys.
Okay.
You do your second team.
I'm so
We're
confused.
just going this way now.
I'm
Is
so
this me?
confused. Anyone want to go next?
Yeah,
Okay,
me,
CJ wants to go
we'll
next.
go again. The boys. We've combined here. Me and Tbates. We're just a
There's just
greater
no way.
intellectual.
We're about to
There's
change
no
on the change.
way
I'm
that
just
you
letting
guys
you
are
know
gonna do
We're
this.
swapping here. We have a difference. I have a real
Don't.
reason. I have a real rationale behind my
Don't.
pick.
Okay, wait, CJ, you go first. I think it's important that CJ goes first so we can
My number
have the
2
reaction.
pick, my clear number 2 pick, that there is no way you could put this team above the number 1 pick. My number 2 pick is Cloud9. Cloud9 roster. Obviously, everyone knows Squishy Talk
That's
gimmick.
it, tell it
They wiped the floor with this was the most impressive World Championship victory anyone has ever seen, arguably, I'd say. Against obviously Dignitas. This season 6, they won 2 best of 7s. They came through the lower bracket. They dropped down early. They went right through. They won. I don't even know how many international events they won. These random, the Muffin Men dream hacks coming out left, right, and center. These guys were just incredible. They're also super consistent.
Five, because the Universal
There you
Open
go.
is kind of relevant here, but not really because Dignitas won the
That's
other
right.
one. So it's sort of okay, you won one, we won one. That's even. They both won a Universal Open. They both won a Gnarly, which again, not on the same level as DreamHacks and RLCS in my opinion. They both won RLCS one time, and then GFE Dig won RLCS again, and Muffin Men / Cloud9 won 2 DreamHacks. So it does depend. So what do you rate more, the double RLCS or 1 RLCS and 2 DreamHacks? On the surface, that's all there is to this. But actually, in my opinion, there's a lot more. But anyway,
There's a lot more that goes in that.
I think for me, it's just this team. They're incredible. I can't put the number 1 because they just have that 1 World Championship win. I think I had to rate that really high. The top of the top when everyone's peaking, when the hot pressure's at the max. You've got between 5 and 10,000 people there. That's when it's on. So I've had to put the number 2. They've only won that, but just for their pure dominance compared to Vitality, because Cloud9 they won a Worlds, but they've only been in the grand final once. But they were super consistent in other worlds. I think they got top 4 a couple
They
times.
got third, they got fourth, they got first, third, fourth, and then I don't know if they played another one actually.
Yeah, so only one grand final. So they got the win. I've put them above Vitality just because their consistency and them winning other international events. But just the one grand final appearance, the one Worlds win, I've had to put them number 2. I cannot put them above my number 1 pick. But a super team and just incredible. That season 6, I'll never forget that grand final. That was a domination over perhaps the best team we've ever seen.
Thank goodness they won as well. Can you imagine how dead that crowd would have been if Dignitas won that? Oh my days. It was going to be awful. So I was so glad that they won. I've got them at number 2 as well. Gimmick Swishy Torment.
Okay.
Number 2 because, they have the closest resume to my number 1 team, which is obviously pretty obvious who that's going to be, but far less consistent. They were also finishing outside of top 3s, top 4s, many times, and that's not something you can say about the number 1 team, who were always at the top for their entire time that they were there. And also Cloud9 never had the same regional dominance, which I think is relevant. They were very much like a second best, third best team in the region for the most part. They did win regionals once, and then every other time they didn't. And I've heard that they weren't trying, so I don't know if you guys want to use that as copium, go ahead. Me, I'm not going to listen to that. That doesn't compute. So a team where they weren't trying. Well, maybe you should have tried, because you got Kate up over there winning 5 in a row. So, you guys can use Escopium if you want to. I won't. But anyway, Tbates, you've got something to say here. You got something to say
Don't do
here.
this.
We're flipping them. I have a great rationale behind it. CJ, you got to listen to me. Because I believe, first off, these 1, 2, they're so great. I believe they're so much higher than everybody else, personally speaking. Like, there's 3 and everybody else, and then it's Cloud9, Dignitas up top. There's just no competition.
In that order.
I do have Dignitas.
I'll give you one more chance.
I'm doing it. I do have Dignitas number 2. And you can just put Cloud9 number 1, because that's just number 1 for me. Now, Johnny, you mentioned. Let me break it down for you, CJ. Don't freak out now. Don't freak out. Let me break it down. You probably won't still agree with me, but I'm just gonna break it down for you. Johnny, you brought up and Stumpy, you've been harping on this the whole entire time. The meta changes. Johnny, you said F3 or passing before everybody. Then Dignitas started passing at like the highest level, like consistently in my opinion. Then Cloud9 took that to a whole nother level. Dignitas, they won 2 world championships. They ended up winning it in season 5, but it is it's just so suspect that they ended up winning. We all know how they won it. I don't even think that's disputable. It wasn't necessarily a classic goal, but win's a win, I guess. And then Cloud9 took that and then had the greatest run in RLCS history in season 6. I don't think it's arguable. And there was also a lower bracket. Going into the next season, Cloud9 were popping off at Worlds, but then they ran into Vitality in a different RLCS world setting.
Here we go again with the hypotheticals. Here we go again.
No, there wasn't a double elimination, though. First off, I don't think it's even a question.
So if there was double elimination, Cloud9 were going to win season 7?
On the other side of the bracket right there. They ran into Vitality early based off of groups, and there's no double elimination in a world setting. How's that make sense?
It doesn't matter. They're still losing to Vitality that day. Vitality, they beat them 4-0. It was 4-0. Who cares about double elimination? They got swept 4-0. That team's not winning Worlds that day.
Come back out of losers.
You think they go down to losers after 4-0 and then they're like, it's fine. It's fine. Same day.
They look like the best team there.
That's my goodness.
Also, I rate the 2v2 in 2018 more than I rate the 2v2 in 2017.
They're the same thing. They're
completely different. There's way more mechanics in 2018 than there was in 2017.
It doesn't matter. Relatively.
The difference between these 3 teams on a 2v2 Universal Open.
They both won a Universal Open. That's irrelevant. They both won a Gnarly. We don't have to talk about Gnarly, which is like the very bottom of the barrel of LANs, and Universal Open, which is 2v2.
Okay.
They both won those.
I divide Rocket League into sections. Like Rocket League history. Season 4 and before, I call that pre-modern Rocket League. Season 5 and after, that's modern Rocket League.
What are you talking about, teammates?
Okay, in terms of skill, in terms of overall skill and like just clean Rocket League play. I don't think it's season 5 World Championship had a much higher skill level than season 4.
Yeah, but season 4 is much higher than season 3, which was much higher than season 2, which was higher than season 1. It's a progression. It's not like bam, season 5 jumps up.
4 and 5 is such a big gap. And if
it was an incline.
Season 6,
it was
the
a
reason
steady
Cloud9
incline.
won in season 6, what did Cloud9 do to Dignitas in season 6 that nobody had done before?
They didn't have internal conflicts.
Regardless of that, what they do on the field?
They didn't hate each other
to
as
me,
a team.
What did they do on the field? They were flip resetting on command.
Their players one of their players wasn't about to leave the roster. That's the difference.
They were going to get whooped regardless of whether Dignitas was still there or not, bro. There was no chance. If Cloud9 brought flip resetting, they took Dignitas' passing.
one flip reset. One.
They were doing it consistently.
The series is already
the whole
over.
Weekend.
They had one flip reset in the grand final. Series is already over.
They had Dignitas' passing at a higher level than Dignitas had it. They added flipper setting before everybody else did. They even added really ceiling shotting, but I was like earlier. They had full like mechanical control before everybody else did it. And then Renault Vitality took what Cloud9 did it and did it to Cloud9. And that's just like a completely different Rocket League.
I feel like that's such a small point though. Like that's
so big.
Listen to this. This is why I have GFE/Dignitas higher. It's nothing to do with who had more influence in the way the game was played, because although I did bring up the fact that I think Flipside with Greasy are underrated as the guys who revolutionized passing, that wasn't a factor in my ranking for them. It's just a side note. It's like a thing that I wanted to bring up because I think it's underrated and it's interesting. It doesn't matter in the conversation of greatness who's more influential, really. I'm just looking at the results, and Cloud9 are the only team with comparable LAN wins to Gale Force/Dignitas. They won comparable LANs because they both won a Universal Open, they both won a Gnarly, they both won Worlds once. Then GFE Dig won Worlds again 2 seasons in a row and got the grand final the next season, whereas Cloud9 won 2 DreamHacks. So they're comparable. I think even if you just look at that, I'm more impressed with GFE Dig. I still am. 2 Worlds and then another grand final, to me, is more impressive than winning Worlds once and getting 2 DreamHacks. To me, it's more impressive, especially if you look at who Cloud9 beat at those DreamHacks. The second one was a Mickey Mouse DreamHack. Or it was like Dallas was nonsense.
No matter who they beat.
That was like that. I don't know. That line was ridiculous.
It don't matter who you beat. It's about winning.
You got to look at the other results as well, though, Tbates. The biggest criticism I see for GFE Dig is that they came second a whole lot. But that criticism shouldn't exist because Cloud9 came third a whole lot. Dignitas came second at E-League, RLCS 6, X Games, DreamHack Atlanta. Cloud9 came third at RLCS 4, E-League, RLCS WSOE. So why are people talking about GFE Dig coming second and that's a bad thing when Cloud9 are coming third? Like if you think coming second is a bad thing, coming third is worse. This is always a criticism I hear for GFE Dig. It always is. People are
I'm not criticizing them for their results are results. Both teams have very comparable results.
They got grand finals more than they didn't. Think about that. They got grand finals at LAN more than they didn't. Cloud9, the year they won DreamHack, Dallas, they also didn't even finish top 4 in all of the other 3 DreamHacks. They were so inconsistent for their time. They were never the absolute best team. I don't think there was a time in history that Cloud9 were the absolute best team, even when they beat Dignitas in Season 6. I don't think people would say, well, that is it, conclusively they're the best team, because they went to E-League the week after and lost. So
and
they were never
them
the
to
guy.
Win E-League.
Yeah, and they lost. So they were never the guy. Cloud9 and never have been the team. Dignitas have. And the only other team who have been the team is Flipside Tactics, the OG team. Those are the 2 teams who have been the team, and nobody debates it. Cloud9 have never been the guy, ever. But their resume is good.
Personally speaking, you can go back in the logs. You can go ask the Chiefs himself, Jorby. I told them all before 2018 Season 6 World Championship, Cloud9 is going to win this. I genuinely thought they were the best team.
Why, though? They weren't even better than NRG. They barely beat NRG. NRG should have won that series in the lower bracket. NRG threw in the lower bracket.
Throwing, choking, is all it cares about is a matter of the W.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they weren't even the best in their region. Never mind best in the world.
That's just all perspective, though. I believe they were the best.
No, they weren't. NRG beat them every time except that one time. They had that
doesn't matter how many times you beat them. It matters about World Championship. Who performing?
Yeah, which, by the way, Dignitas won 2 of.
Dignitas won 3.
Turbo won 3, Dig won 2, and then they came second in the other one. Like, in every way, in every metric, GFE and Dig are by far and away above Cloud9. Everything for me. Their grand finals performances and everything else.
I just have like this separation.
Let's just bring it back a bit. Can I bring it back a bit? All right. So you're trying to give me this point. All right. Everyone just take it. All right. All right. Thank you. Okay. You have said that Cloud9, for me, it feels like you're putting them number 1 because of how dominant the season 6 and they changed the game. And is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but that doesn't
is
matter
that your?
for me,
That's not the entire thing. It's just like
look, the thing I don't get is you're saying yes that they brought the flip resets and stuff and the passing right, but then you got like season 3. Devo brought the double taps. Woo! That was sick. Season 4, we had like squishy hit a skilling shot. Like every season, there was like
which
something
one's
else that
still
was
relevant
added.
today,
You can't
though?
just like
Which one's still relevant
everything.
today?
Infield passes are relevant today.
People don't be
Downfield
double
passes are
touching
relevant
like that
today.
no more. You don't really. If you go backward, people want you to go backward. Come, bring the ball to me. Big clear every time.
Nah, Devo's double touches. Devo's double
one.
touch is just as iconic as a ceiling shot, just as iconic
what?
as a flip reset.
Flip resets are not the biggest threat either.
Double
They're
taps
not-
are
they're
the
not
most
bigger
Throwing
threat
the
than
ball
the
in
rest.
the air is by far the biggest threat.
But flip resetting isn't. You said flip resetting is the biggest threat.
But having the ability to flip reset in that is big.
But equally, you could say that then that's the same as going to backboard, right? Backboard could then be one of the
Nobody's
biggest
worried
throats
about
as
backboard.
well.
Yeah, backboard for
What do you mean?
What do you mean?
You talk about
you have
Envy.
Envy
are
on
fucking
your
incredible
yeah,
off the backboard.
Envy have early in here to miss.
Envy does everything. Envy can do anything. Envy has no problems. They have infield passing. They have backboard.
Nah.
I mean, it's
if you took Mist's double touches out of Envy, they're not a threat. They're not even in the conversation for top
but his
3
double
NA
touches
anymore.
are a threat though, because when he goes up, he might go for the reset. So then you got to make a decision. If he gets the reset off, just
all
over.
this does is he slaps the ball away. He backboards
you
as
need to
fast
give
as
him
he can.
equal credence if that's the argument to a double tap or a flip reset.
But it's easier to
That's the split. It's one of the two. Both are the threat.
I just feel like this whole conversation is so irrelevant. Like who innovated, who had more influence in the way Rocket League is played is so irrelevant when you're looking at greatness. Because we're not talking about most influential teams of all time. We're talking about greatest teams of all time. And Cloud9 were the closest resume to Dignitas, but not even in the same floor when it comes to greatness. Because Dig never were out of the conversation for winning a LAN. Every LAN they went to, people are thinking they're going to win. Every LAN. Even the next LAN after they lost Season 6, everybody still thinks Dig are probably the favorites. They were the only team besides Flipside, the OG Flipside, who everybody thought were probably going to win everything. Because they were so far ahead. And it was in the era of Cloud9, in the era of Method, in the era of NRG. There were lots of goated teams in here. G2 Esports, a lot of our best rosters all time were getting clapped by Dignitas. They were probably, I think, in the hardest era for its time, and they dominated. I don't think Cloud9 are close to them. Cloud9, Flipside, my 2-3 were close. Dignitas are in a
How
world
is
of their own.
Flipside close to Cloud9?
Because they did what Cloud9 couldn't. They were unquestionably the best team in the world for almost a year. Cloud9 were never even the best team in the world for a week. Unquestionably. There was a debate that they were one of the best. They were always one of the best teams. They were never the best team with no questions asked. Ever.
But that's the point,
Ever.
though.
They were never
That's
the
the point I'm
unquestioned
making.
greatest team. Never.
And
I don't
that's
think there's
why
a
I
point in
split
history.
it. That's why I split it. Pre-modern and post-modern. There is no definitive best team in the world. Since then, there has never been that.
Since
There's
Dignitas,
no-
yeah, because nobody's dominated like
Since
Dignitas.
Wait,
Since Dig.
okay, but that's that's the gap.
But that's why Dig are number one, though. You're proving the point for
There's
us.
Tbates. There's only
that's
one
like-
team. There's only one team that anyone talks about a dynasty with, and that is Dig/Gale Force. Everyone's like, who's going to be the next dynasty? BDS is starting to, what happens. We don't know because we haven't taken it to Worlds yet, international events. But no one's talking about a Cloud9 dynasty after they won one Worlds. They were very good. They won a lot of. They were together for a long period of time. They won 5 events. They only won one World.
But they were in such different
with
times.
the
Dig
They were
dynasty.
far apart. They won a DreamHack, then there was a long time had passed. They won another event, then a long time. I think they won Gnarly close to DreamHack, but that I don't really rate Gnarly that highly. And Dig won a Gnarly anyway, so it doesn't matter. They won a Universal Open, so did Dig. I'm not even thinking about Gnarly UO. Yeah, I'm only looking at the 2 DreamHacks and Worlds, and they were spread out. At no point during this were Cloud9 dominant. They just kept the same team for a long time.
Essentially.
You love hypotheticals, Tbates. If GFE Dig played for the same length of time as Cloud9 did, we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Well, see, that wouldn't happen because they realized that they weren't as good as Cloud9 after that Cloud9 slap.
Yeah, I said you like hypotheticals. I didn't even need that hypothetical to put GFE Dig at one. I put them at number 1
essentially,
without
what
that.
I'm saying is, the reason to break it down, make it real clear, the reason I have Cloud9 above Dignitas, I don't care how many times Dignitas got second. I really don't. Second, third, fourth, it's all the same to me. First is first. They won 2 Worlds. They both won 5 LANs. So if you can rate Worlds higher than
So why do you put
sure.
them higher then? I don't understand. Because everything you're saying sounds like you're proving
because I believe
it for
they
us.
took everything that Dignitas did and made it better. And then they added stuff onto it.
Such as what?
They took their passing and made it better.
I don't think so. I think Dignitas were way better at passing than Cloud9.
I just
way
don't.
better. Cloud9 is such an overrated passing
Squishy,
team.
the gimmick was way more threatening than
No. Panda was like the best passer out of those teams.
Gimmick was so dominant on offense. Gimmick was so dominant.
K-Dop was the best shooter. If you talk Cloud9, the Cloud9 GFE Dig rosters, those two rosters, K-Dop's the best shooter. Turbo's the best passer. Panda's the best passer. And I think maybe Gimmick's the best at air rolling. Like you're really stretching when you're looking at what the best player is in Cloud9.
Gimmick was definitely a better shooter than K-Dop.
No shot. K-Dop's the best shooter of all time. K-Dop's the best shooter of all time.
Tbates, you can't.
K-Dop's the best shooter of all time.
Oh my God.
Second best shooter of all time. Second best shooter of all time.
There's no way you're comparing Gimmick's offensive firepower. He was one of the greatest offensive threats ever. He was so bad at defense, but people would still have him as top 3. He was that dominant.
Yeah, but that was shooting though.
Defense.
Shooting. K-Dop is the best shooter.
No, he was
second
dominant
best
in
shooter
season
is
5
Marky.
and in season 4.
Nah.
He was untouchable.
Tbates,
Big land wins.
Gimmick's not
in
even as
season
good of a
4 and
shooter
5.
historically than Marky Duda. I think K-Dop and Marky are the best shooters of all time for me. That's the top 2. And there's nobody else in the conversation.
I think you ask people you ask the pros. In season 6, season 5.
Why would I ask the pros? The pros are so biased here. I wouldn't ask them.
Biased. They would give you the facts. They would give you the facts, man. They just it made it better. In a
I
more
want you to
modern
keep
era.
talking, Tbates, because it seems like the more you talk, the more we're just jumping just off a cliff, and we're just gonna keep going. Like just
CJ,
I am
CJ,
here for the ride. I
CJ,
love it.
just-
Wait. Hold on. We don't even have Stumpy's number 1 yet. He's got a blank space. What is going on here? What is even happening? Like, let's rescue Tbates from this disaster, this fire that he's created for himself.
I'm
Stumpy.
just happy that at least the worst list is now up for debate. That's all.
There's no debate. There's no debate.
I think that, shall I go with my number 1? People have been asking for it.
I want to see it. Yeah, what's your number 1?
I think, considering the fact that I struggled to count to 10 for my teams. I started at 10, I worked my way to 2, and I called it quits there. I miscounted, and I take that fully on my shoulders. And so for number 1, I think there's only one roster for me that has made Rocket League Esports the best esport in the world. There is one roster that has stayed not even consistent throughout. There have been people coming in, people coming out. But ultimately, at the top of my list, number 1, the best Rocket League roster of all time is you, the audience.
Oh my
Because
days.
I think that when it comes down to what Rocket League is, it is everything that people make it. It is it's an experience that everybody shares. It's a roster that has changed between thousands
Stumpy,
to hundreds of
you
thousands
have
of
made
people. People have come
the
in.
worst.
People have come back out, and I think that when it comes down to having to define what is the best roster of all time, I can only pick the audience personally.
Stumpy, you have made the worst top 9 greatest rosters of all time list, and you're trying to save it with the audience by putting them number 1.
I thought Tbates was appealing to the audience by putting Cloud9 in here just because he wants the Cloud9 fanboys to be like, yes, true, tell him. But I think Stumpy's I appealed him here by putting the audience number 1.
Look, right, okay. Let me just level with people. I did forget to do 10 teams. I got to 9. Apparently, I gave up. My honourable mentions, theoretically, I should put them in at number 10, maybe. But I'm not going to do that. I decided who would have
been 10? Just out of curiosity. Now that you know that you messed it up, which one of your honourable mentions? You had Chiefs in there. What was the other honourable mentions?
Chiefs, G2 with Crow, and Kings of Urban.
So surely, I don't know. Who would it be? Who would you put in there?
I'm going to go for a wild card. Let's put Cosmic Aftershock in there.
Cosmic
I reckon
Aftershock.
Pop Cosmic Aftershock with Gibbs. They were essentially the NA flip side for less time, and then were worse in the end.
Except, yeah, they were worse the entire time that they existed, and
yes, exactly.
didn't win anything. Yeah.
The NA flip side, Johnny.
Flip side
So
did win.
thank you. My number 1. I've Stumpy forgot to write down 10 teams.
It's incredible. Like, Gibbs did technically make a top 10. I can't be bothered
Gibbs
like
did
editing Stumpy's list to move it up.
Please don't. I like my list. I think that's a fun list because then when that's posted to Twitter,
people are going to be so mad.
People will send me hate yet again.
People are going to be so mad. How have you one-upped yourself from last time? I don't know. How have
Johnny,
you done
please
a
don't
worse
invite
job?
Johnny. If you invite me back, I'm going to decline because this is the most stressful 3-hour period of my life.
Although I don't think you're even looking the most stressed. I think CJ and Tbates both look comfortably more stressed than you. So there is that.
I know, it's quite nice. I was just chilling. I finished my wine. I had a bit of water.
That's what it is. Me and Stumpy
I've had a
both
good
have
evening.
alcohol, so we're fine. You guys messed up.
I'm not stressed about my own list. I'm looking at these lists right now, and I'm thinking mine is a banging list. I know you guys have managed to stuff up so many times. Honestly, I was probably the most worried going in, thinking 4 to 10 is rough. I thought top 3, we've got this covered. We've got this on lockdown, and we literally none of us have the same top 3.
No,
I think I was closest to you guys.
Crazy.
We have the same top
I'm happy
2
with
though.
my list.
At least,
I'm stressed for you guys.
I think honestly, last time I had to concede that maybe Yummy might have had like possibly a better list than me. It was close. This time I think CJ again has provided the best competition, but I think mine's better because I remember G2, the Chicago Rizzo JNAPs. You omitted them somehow.
Can we get a
how
poll
have you
in
not
chat
got
to see
G2
who
in your
people think
list,
is the
CJ?
best?
We got to call you out on that one, buddy. You got Weedham Girls in there who lost to absolutely everybody at DreamHack. They won an E-League one time, and that's why you couldn't have
You're valuing second too much.
No, it's season 9. They came second at Worlds one year, and then they dominated season 9 online, and that was all. They knew that was all it was going to be.
No,
The
I'm
line
not
was
talking about
cancelled.
G2.
Yeah, we're talking about G2.
G2's great.
Yeah, G2.
G2's great. I'm talking about like when.
CJ
get on
didn't put
Weedham
G2
Girls.
in there. Join me, Tbates. We both have G2 at 8.
Okay.
Let's agree.
No,
we
listen,
need to make fun of CJ.
Let me defend myself. If Johnny and Tbates, if you're going to come at me,
Oh, I am coming
if
at you.
G2 hadn't have swapped out the roster, if it was best teams, I'm putting G2 pretty high on this list. If it's best like organization, G2 Esports, i.e. Kronovi and Chicago.
What about
because
roster?
they split up, both of them, if they're together as one, woo, split up, ooh, bit down. Weedham Girls, super impressive for a short period of time. I understand they had low lows, but I think that they were pretty broken
They
as a
shone
team
bright.
by that point. However, they did shine bright, Stumpy. You tell them they
Yeah,
did
but-
shine bright. Fantastic performance at the Worlds, won an E-League. This team, they just
G2
have to a little bit
outperformed the
above
Worlds.
G2.
G2 won up them. Weedham Girls got 3rd. G2 got 2nd. And then they dominated Season 9 Spring Series, whereas Weedham Girls were losing DreamHack. So I don't know what's going on there. Weedham Girls, by the way, were my 11th
G2?
rated team, so I'm really...
As you guys keep arguing, by the way, there is a poll in the chat for people who
which is the
want to
best,
decide who's got
yeah.
the best list. Just if you vote for anybody that isn't me, you are voting against yourself because I've all got you guys at number 1. Sorry, carry on, please.
Look, I'll let chat answer this question because I know they'll vote me as best list. Because look, I just feel like, listen, all right, with Kronovi on G2, they got the E-League win, right? So they got the international win.
Mm-hmm.
With Chicago, they did get the second awards. They didn't get the international win. They won the season 9, the online, the double triple prize money.
it's basically
whatever event.
same stipulation
But
as
just split them
BDS.
up. It just ruins them.
I can see you not having G2 on the list.
It's the same as BDS, so we all put BDS in.
Thank you.
Nah, we all put BDS in our list because there was no Worlds. They did the best they could. That's what G2 did. There was no Worlds. They did everything they could. They won huge prize money in that regional. Topped the league, won the regional, won Spring Series as well. Rizzo was going to retire, but they couldn't stop winning. Like, that to me is pretty great. Like they were like ready to be done, and they just accidentally won the season. It's pretty good. I don't know. When I think of great teams, I definitely look at that team more fondly than the Weedham Girls TSM because although they won an E-League, they won an E-League, but then they were so bad at like so many events. I don't know. They didn't even like dominate that E-League. That E-League format was kind of like weird because you have a group stage, which Weedham Girls, I believe, went 2-2 in or something. I think they weren't even top of their group, and then they just ended up on the side of the bracket that didn't have Dignitas, so they win. Like if they run in Dignitas, they lose. They never beat Dig. But they did
so then Cloud9 has another LAN championship.
No, possibly, because it depends on who they play. Cloud9 actually would have had to play, I believe, NRG, so no, Cloud9 would have lost to NRG, so they wouldn't have won that one either. Because NRG had a winning record against Cloud9, who had a winning record against Dig, who had a winning record against TSM, who beat NRG. And because of the way the seeding worked, it was like... No, it's just like they're all beating each other. But obviously, Dignitas in this circle were the greatest of the teams, unquestionably.
But you said Cloud9 was better than Cloud9 would be Dignitas.
On that day, yeah, they did. So yes, that day. But they would have lost to Weedham Girls, lost to NRG, probably lost to like some other random team that Dig wouldn't lose to. Like the Cloud9 were way more vulnerable and less great than Dig were.
I personally like my list. I know a lot of people just love Dignitas because they won 2 World CSs. That's it. I might move Envy down underneath G2, but I don't understand how Johnny has F3 in top 3.
So the only team apart from Dig.
CJ's is like the
Flipside.
CJ's is the.
Listen, Flipside are the only.
Tbates, do you want to know?
I think I lost the
quickly.
poll because of this. Actually, you pointed it out, like me putting Flipside third. Like I probably lost the poll to CJ, who has won the chat's opinion the best list of the day. So congratulations, CJ.
Johnny,
CJ.
do you want to say it in order from first to last, just quickly?
What?
The top 4 for the
top
best
4.
list.
So CJ wins with
Please do,
60% of the vote. I get second with 22. Stumpy gets 9% of the vote at third, and then Tbates is 8%. So not much. I think the chat ranked one.
You have an EU fan base. I do not have.
Nah, my audience is 50-50. My audience is 50-50.
I do not
I've
have,
checked my
I do not have
demographics.
the unquestionable Dignitas in number 1. And then I also don't have BDS high enough. So, I mean, of course I was going to lose. I didn't go in there to win the opinions of Sheep Lover 17. I went up in here. I went up in here to give, in my opinion, a good list. I have no problem with Dignitas being number 1. I genuinely don't. The way CJ went, I could have went that as well. I just believe that Cloud9.
Yeah, you guys were in sync.
I genuinely could. I really don't think there's much separating them. The only reason I've seen on above is 'cause I believe they took what Dignitas did and made it better. I believe both teams are great. They're the only teams with 5 lands. You could swap them if you want. I don't mind. But, like, it's just me. I believe Cloud9 took it to another level compared to what Dignitas
I don't know.
was doing.
I can't see that because Dignitas, they were like, finishing. They were winning. They were podiuming every event and they were winning a bunch. And then Cloud9 took that and they lost a bunch of events. So I don't see how that's taking what Dig did and making it better. If anything, it's just like not being in the same conversation at all. If you ask me, they won like one DreamHack, then a whole bunch of time passed. They won a LAN. They won Worlds. A whole bunch of time passed, and they Mickey Mouse DreamHack as well. So. They got the resume, but they don't have the greatness. They just don't. But I got to ask chat something. Right, let's do one at a time. We're going to ask what's the worst pick. I don't think we even need to ask. We'll start with Stumpy. Chat, write down
let's not have a go. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's start with someone else.
Let's just get Stumpy's over with. Chat, which one of Stumpy's placements is the worst?
Right.
Just write down the team name that you think. Yeah, everybody's going to say C97, obviously.
Come on.
So everybody says C97.
That's just... Stumpy, I actually want to hear, like, I want to hear it again. But just, I just want to say, like,
mate. CJ, look, I'm out of fight.
Do you regret this decision, or are you happy with this? You thought about it?
No, if you asked do I regret this decision, I'd have to wait to review this answer in the morning. But if you'd say that, do I regret coming on this stream again to do another ranking stream again? That is a clear yes. I have never regretted anything more in my life. I think that this evening would have been spent better watching Disney films under a blanket with a glass of wine, if I'm being honest with you. So I won't be returning. This will be my final appearance on Johnny Boy's stream. Show matches, of course, included. This is my final appearance here. Johnny, mate, you know you're a good mate of mine. Do you know what I mean? Like, I miss you immensely, but I simply shan't be returning. Thank you for the invite, of course. But no, I hope you just
You're
have just a great career, quite frankly.
I mean, yeah, you got a 3rd place in the poll. You're like, that'll do. I'm retiring. Third
place
is
ain't
pretty
bad.
good.
That's the thing.
All right.
You don't know what, the best team doesn't always win. That's what I learned from a great man.
Guys, chat, what is CJCJ's worst team rank? Just write the team that you think is CJ's worst one.
While chat do this,
talk, yeah.
Let me say, I agree, my number 10 pick can definitely be interchangeable. There is a lot of teams that could be number 10. But I want to say my top 9 is undisputed. Undisputed in my personal opinion. I think that number 10...
No G2, man. No G2. That's just...
No G2. I think G2 could be Wedding Girls. I agree. I split. I think when I realized that Kronovi wasn't, I sort of...
Yeah, that was a pretty... See, people are forgetting that. You're lucky you got that out the way early and it's not on the screen for people to see.
I had a mental blank. I thought Kronovi was the one that got top 2.
So on the screen. See, if we wrote that down, then everybody would be like... oh man, they'd be so mad at CJ right now. Most of the chat probably tuned in after that happened. They don't even know. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and that was me just warming up. Like, I just woken up, I was a little bit rusty, and I had a few teams written down on my list as like 10, like that could be all my number 10s. And once G2 went out, I just went in my heart, and I just thought I really enjoyed that Weedham Girls team. You know, that was a good team. Now, results based, there's perhaps teams throughout history. I know people are saying perhaps like a Northern Gaming. That's a good shout, or other World Championship winners. You know, Northern Gaming is a good shout to be number 10 because they did win a Worlds. But you know what? I'm sticking with it. I'm just happy with it. I think it was a very competitive year. I really rate that A-League win that they won as were they TSM at the time or still Weedham Girls?
TSM, I think. No, wait, were they Weedham Girls?
Yeah,
Weedham Girls.
Weedham Girls,
They
and
were
they
Weedham Girls.
became TSM after.
Yeah, they got TSM because of that.
I rate those A-League
so
wins pretty
did you
high,
say
which is
DreamHack?
why.
Sorry,
No,
did you say
E-League.
DreamHack for that one?
E-League.
Oh, E-League. Sorry,
No,
DreamHack.
E-League.
My bad.
I rate the E-League pretty highly. I think that's like that's a top event. That's a high class event. I think it was a competitive era
Outside of
when
RLCS,
they
it's
started
top tier.
winning that.
Yeah. Like, it's RLCS, then I think E-League and some DreamHacks, and then the other DreamHacks, and then, like, the other lines.
Yeah. But I think I agree. It could be interchangeable. I think you guys know even the Kronovi G2 is a good shout.
Yeah, they
because
were in the conversation. They're
although
in the bubble.
they weren't hot at Worlds. We know that they
got fourth
took
one
out.
time.
They also took out an E-League.
They got
Yeah,
fourth
they got
one time.
exactly. It wasn't.
They did
it
win an
wasn't
E-League
terrible.
as well. So they actually
They did
win
come
an
last
E-League.
at a Worlds.
That G2 won an E-League, but it was like one or the other for me. And yeah, I think CJ's
So
list is
for me,
pretty good.
either G2, TSM, Northern.
I rate CJ's list. I don't know about you guys. I think it's a good list. I think it's good arguments across the board. I like CJ's list. It's the only thing that I don't like is Flipside Tactics Mike Rules version being lower than Greasy, because this is greatness, and they were no question. They were the greatest team. First year of Rocket League's existence, nobody would even bat an eyelid. Flipside number 1 by a mile.
That's like saying.
Most of Zoomers don't remember. Like, most of chat probably weren't even here then. They don't even remember this. They weren't there. Like, it's fine. It's okay if you weren't there, but you have to.
It's like saying the
respect
Celtics in basketball from 1950 to 1960 are the greatest basketball team of all time.
But
I don't know. I don't know anything
literally
about
no
that.
idea who
I
those
don't know
people
anything
are.
about basketball.
Is that LeBron?
I've
Like,
watched
do you know what I mean?
The Last Dance, and that's about all I know about basketball history. So I can't comment.
I've seen
I don't
Space
know.
Jam.
With the flip side pick, let me just say, like,
Soccer.
I will say, before I woke up this morning,
You had them a one
before
roster.
I woke up this morning, I had Flipside number 2 because I forgot they split up. I just had the collective,
Okay.
the second at
Okay.
season 1,
Oh, yeah.
the first at season 2.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
if
that's a
if
good
you
shout
combine
at number
Flipside Greasy, Flipside Mike, they're number 2 without a
Hey,
shadow
number
of a doubt.
2?
Oh yeah, ahead of Cloud9
I
without
have
a shadow of a
Flipside
doubt.
number 2.
If you add their season 2 win,
When-
absolutely they're ahead of Cloud9. No question.
This morning, upon realizing they split up, they both come. It's like G2. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I had
yeah.
G2. Boom. They split up. They come down, and they both come together. And I said I went in my heart. Probably less some results. I think if I was more like you, Johnny, and went with like your probably more knowledge, certainly more knowledge than me pre RLCS season 1, I might have put Mike above them. But I just had to run just the World Championship win. That was for me. I don't know. I just really had to rate the Worlds in terms of greatest of all time. I really respect the World Championship win.
I gotta ask Tbates though, because I don't really know much about this basketball reference, but some of chat seem to think that this is a good point. I don't know with the context of this, but was that like the very beginning of basketball? There was a team that just won everything right after like the NBA was formed, seasons 1 onwards. So what's the relevance here? Why is
They
that
won
less?
11 times against janitors. They had the greatest team of that era, but they had literally everybody on that team.
But that's not who
It's just
Flipside were
not
playing against.
fair.
They weren't playing against janitors. They were playing against like Pashi, Sicky, Killer Number 7. That's a legit team. They were playing
They
playing
weren't-
against
they're
Weedham
just-
Girls
they're
before it was
just
Weedham
good.
Girls. They're playing against Greasy, Maestro, Remco on their rosters. They were playing against
There's just
ELMP,
no
a
way you
legend of the
can-
U team. They're playing against IVP
It's-
Cosmic players. So you've got they were playing against legit players. Like, it wasn't janitors. They were just like way ahead.
IVP was not IVP who's my number 10 team. That's completely different team.
Yeah, they were playing against
Yeah.
Kronovi and Sad Junior Gibbs.
Gibbs.
They were playing against Kings of Urban,
Gibbs.
which was
I love Gibbs.
the Fireburner
Gibbs.
roster. There was scary players. These players were good players. They were good. It's just Flipside were by far the best. And
yeah,
I
they
don't
were
think-
way better. I'm sure some 19. I mean, the Celtics played against Wilt Chamberlain. it was one of the greatest basketball players of all time, but it's just Wilt. So I mean, they just had a full roster. It's like they played Crow. Well, he has Gibbs and Sad Jr., who are both okay probably at that time, but it's not as good as the whole entire Flipside Tactics team. And also comparing 1955 basketball and 2015 Rocket League to 1990 basketball and 2018 Rocket League, there's such a big difference. I don't even know how CJ could stretch it to where you could put Flipside at 2. It's so that difference in skill across.
Yeah, but it's relative. We're talking greatness across all eras. So in their generation, in their time, they were the greatest.
Some eras, like you gotta think of modern, just modern terms of skill and stuff like that. It's just there's way more competition now than there was then. They were legitimately the best team. They came from a game that this game is modeled off of. They were better. They had an advantage. They were. I would expect them to win. If they didn't win, that would be disappointingly sad.
But they were playing against other players from SARP. Like, it was all SARP vets. It was all.
But they were still better than all of them, though. Like, genuinely way better.
You can't take that away from them, though, just because they were more prepared and they were better. It doesn't make it any less of an accomplishment to be better. We're talking about who was the greatest. They were the greatest. They were the greatest team for a whole year. I think the only other team that's done that is Dignitas. The only team. Flipside and Dignitas are the only teams who have been the best for a year, and nobody would argue that they were the best.
I don't think there's ever going to be a team who's the best ever again for a year. That's not possible.
Well, after what I saw BDS do in Europe, it's somehow I believe it's possible.
That's secluding the other region. That's very major.
But the fact if BDS can dominate Europe, they can dominate the world. So I'm not saying that it's the same level of accomplishment. My list would indicate otherwise. It's not the same level, but maybe it could happen. I didn't believe it before this season, but maybe it could happen
wine or
again.
Something, bro. How many? Oh my god!
Right before Tbates goes to chat, but while CJ's talking here, write down in the chat right now who you think Tbates' worst ranked team is. All right, CJ.
I reckon me and Tbates will have the worst ranked team here, which would be nice.
I just want to say all this NA and EU bias is disgusting, and I think for chat, it just must be so refreshing to have this unbiased, inferior region OCE washed up player coming down here and giving an unbiased top 10 greatest teams, greatest rosters of all time.
Garrett G also, I am the complete. Garrett said it. I'm with Garrett every single step of the way. On first touch, EU was legitimately better. 2, 3, 4, even 1. Our power 1, but EU was still better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They were legitimately better. 6 is where it turns around, and 7, as Garrett said, 3 of the top 4 teams were all NA. 8, NA wins again, and then it's just we've consistently.
Europe was better at 8 though. Europe was better at 8. They had Vitality, Dignitas, and NA had NRG. They were the only 3 teams who looked like they had a shot at winning. EU had a better representation, and that's with reciprocity not even showing up. NA had E United, Pittsburgh Knights, and Space Station Gaming. None of those teams were winning that LAN. Not happening. Doesn't matter how many times you run it, they're not winning.
PK or SSG could have won that.
No, doesn't matter how many times you run that LAN. PK and SSG lose that LAN every time.
PK lost off a double commit. PK lost off a double commit.
No, they're not winning that LAN. Those teams are not even close. They were right there.
They were right. Cyprical was on Dominus.
They're not winning that LAN. E United, Space Station, PK,
EU is the only team, I believe, who wasn't going to win out of NA. Other than that, it was just very
PK or
close.
Space Station could win that. You can run it 100 times, PK and Space Station don't win Season 8. No, I don't think they win out of 100 tries. They don't win. Those teams were not even close to the same level as Dig, Vitality, and Energy. It's clear top 3, and Reciprocity had a bad weekend, but they showed at other events that they could have been at that level. PK and Space Station didn't.
PK had won the most recent LAN before that one.
Yeah, and that was the... what was it called? The Cinderella run. It was the event right after they farm, and they're just for some reason unbeatable that day.
The honeymoon.
That's the word. Thank you, CJ.
Can I just say, Tbates, you put Envy. It's actually crazy that you put Envy at 7, and somehow you've done a worse pick after that. And literally, chat cannot decide what was the worst pick. Cloud9 at 1. Or Envy at 7. It is crazy how you went Envy at 7 and then you doubled down and got worse from there. That's credit to you, man. That is awesome.
I'm just giving the facts. Ooh, if BDS is in the list, you have to have at least 1 in 18 from today's game.
They ain't dominated. They're not great. They haven't done anything great. They've all like taken turns winning events. What about that is greatness?
It's more competition. I find the fact that they've won more than all the other ones impressive. The fact that they're playing all these great teams.
Nah, it's just because Space Station win, fall, then they all stop playing the game. Justin's not playing the game. Envy's getting farmed by Energy at the start of the season. They're all just taking turns not being very good compared to each other. BDS is good throughout. They're good
I'm
every time.
intrigued that one of my biggest thoughts about your list, Tbates, was the fact that Envy is on there, but then the team that has done better than them in the same time frame isn't on there.
They haven't done better. They won a major, which
one major more than Envy, lol.
The major is genuinely not as like if you talk to the pros, like it's a big deal, but they're all the same. They're all the same. The major, if it was a LAN, makes sense to have that many points. That's the only reason the major is worth that many points because it's supposed to be a LAN. That's the only reason. They just genuinely they approach it the same way. It's not. It's regional. The majors are all online. Is almost the same format. It's just they're not that different.
I think they're pretty different.
One has more points. I think it's the same pricing. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, teams are practicing harder for those. They're boot camping. They're scrimming harder.
Camping.
They're actually playing the game. They're logging those hours. Like they're actually trying.
Missed us 10 hours.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. What are they doing at number 7? Missed us 10 hours. What is going on here?
Yeah, that's not exactly a boast for Envy, in fairness.
I've heard before people attack me. I've heard that he might be playing on an alt or something because I think they are boot camping. So I'd be very surprised if he's got 7 hours at a boot camp. I think he might be playing an alt, but that's neither here nor there. It doesn't make a difference in this conversation. So before we go, guys, we're gonna give finishing thoughts. You can all write in chat who my worst ranked team is while we do that. And since I've got a couple of double entries like Energy, Flipside, you might have to specify with names. But final thoughts on the night, Stumpy, before we sign off here.
I'm never coming back. Cheers, Johnny. See you in a bit. I'm going to get myself another glass of wine. I got a delicious bottle of red earlier today. I nipped to Waitrose. Got a lovely Italian red. Going to have a glass of that and watch a bit of telly. Cheers, everyone.
All right, Stumpy, thank you. CJ, final thoughts?
Oh, thoroughly enjoyed, John. I mean, this was just smooth sailing from me right off the bat. I mean, it was just, I didn't have an ordered top 10 when I came in here, and I said I'd go with my heart. I had my top 3 in, and then outside that, when it came up to me, I just knew what was going to happen. It feels great being just an unbiased, I'm not affiliated with any of these terrible, these major regions, we call them. Everyone knows OCE is the best. I really had Chiefs number 1, Tainted number 2, but it's been great. It's been an unbiased journey for me. It's been smooth sailing. I've got very annoyed with you three, with your list because they don't make sense to me.
Whose is the least annoying?
I look forward to being back on later as an unbiased OCE member.
Whose list is the least annoying?
Yours. Just. Yeah, I think. Well, no, not just. Definitely.
Wait, who's the most annoying though?
Look, this. Honestly, it's probably Tbates because he's got the double whammy. Like he's got like Envy in there. Listen, Envy in there is weird, and then having BDS only 1 higher when they were clearly like more dominant over this same period as Team Envy is just a little bit weird. If you're gonna have Envy 7, you have to have BDS higher. But then the Cloud9 pick, I just assumed like there's the clear number 1 pick for me. For everyone, I would have assumed. Stumpy putting Cloud9 at 7 is utterly ridiculous, and it is crazy that I've picked Tbates as a worst list after that. So I'm not Stumpy. Don't laugh. You have a terrible list.
Turned it around.
Tbates
turned it around.
He did.
He snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, and I can only say thank you for that.
Tbates, I think it's only fair that we give you the final closing thought here at the end of the stream because you've definitely taken a lot of criticism here, so you have the right to defend yourself. The floor is yours.
There's no defending. I've tried. It's just logic. Logic doesn't make sense. All we care about is RLCS win. in second places. I don't get it. And one goes away and a whole bunch of nonsense that shouldn't matter. Really shouldn't. BDS, greatest team of all time. Matter of fact, next time I'm on here, just so I can just like, I just feel like I've aged in this last 230. So next time I'm on here, I will come on here with the most generic list possible. Okay, it's everybody. If you've never watched Rocket League, it's like a pure indulge. I'm like, yeah. Dignitas, Cloud9, Vitality, F3, NRG, without any type of context. I could list that all day. But I was trying to provide the context. And the context is thrown out the window, and all there is just CJ catering to. I'm not biased. I'm just coming here to the most known 3 of all time guys. Hey, yeah, pick me. You got Stumpy over here. Disrespect the Cloud9.
I can't believe you pandered to the audience.
Matter of fact, since Stumpy isn't coming back, Johnny, I'm gonna need an NA homie. I need some help because I like the chat's against me. You three, OC's against me, and then EU's against. I need some help. I just need help because this
finally
is actually
something we can agree on.
It's actually unbelievable. No, because when whoever you have on here is somewhere near my list and he understands my rationale, my backing behind my reasoning, then maybe the chat will be persuaded. But until then, I'm just gonna sit here and just be mind blown.
That's
We
so
need
funny.
Desrin on to translate.
I bet we get another NA player, another NA person on here, and they're just going to disagree with him, and Tbates are going to be back going at each other on everything. But that's all I see on First Touch. You guys just go head to head with like an entire NA cast. You're all in it. All you do is argue about it. Listen, we've got to call it because this has gone way over time. But this has been fantastic. Stumpy's, he's retiring, but it's honestly irreplaceable. Because the content Stumpy provides is actually it's unbelievably unique.
Cloud9.
It's unbelievably unique. We wouldn't get that.
I'm going back. Stumpy's got the worst list. I don't think
No, CJ,
Stumpy, the fact that you've gone 7 Cloud9 is so far away.
You can't
It is
even
so
allow
far
the
away
take.
from
You
top
have
2.
to go.
That is worse. I'm going back.
I feel that.
You actually had to think about that in your mind.
No, I know. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That is sad.
I'm sorry.
You've submitted
No,
your
I'm sorry,
vote.
I'm back.
Unfortunately, it's already
No,
been counted.
I'm going back.
Cheers.
Like, Cloud9 number 1 is a weird. Like
The
for me,
ballot
it's
box
like,
has been taken. Thank you.
But like,
Cheers.
at least they're top 2. But for you to put them 7,
7th is ridiculous.
like
It is
Cloud9 are worse than Greasy. Flipside is phenomenal. Like it is phenomenal.
It's
Look,
like,
I've had a rough week.
no, like I said, Stumpy is absolutely irreplaceable. Thank you so much for giving the foundation to this show. CJ waking up at 5 a.m. for this, can't thank you enough. And Tbates doing NA proud. You think you need help? I don't think you need help. You provide solid arguments and in an entertaining way. So honestly, you guys are great. Appreciate you all coming on. And chat as
Thank
well,
you,
just like Stumpy said, you guys are the true rank ones. So shout out to you guys as well. But yeah, that's all we got time for today. Beyond before we go, Tbates has a question. Tbates,
Do I leave the OBX this time?
I'm gonna
You're
throw
gonna continue
to
streaming?
this time. I'm gonna throw to us all being muted. So don't worry about it. Last time I kind of forgot to say that, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, guys, thanks for all the support in these streams. Hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll probably do another one at some point. If you got any ideas, just I don't know, tweet them at me or one of these guys.
This was fun.
And yeah, shout out to these guys for coming on and check out their socials. They're all active on Twitter and everything else. So give them lots of love. Give them all follows because they deserve it for this countless hours of entertainment. But guys, that's it from us. Until next time, have a great rest of your night.